We got a children's birthday party happening, so that might be any unexplained noises, but great stuff happening here. We got the Upanishads. We got a new copy from Half Price Books, the Upanishads, translated for the modern reader by Eknath Iswaran. I've heard it's a good version.
But the guy, you were talking about the translator. Okay.
No, I don't know. Eknath. You can Google Eknath Iswaran if you want to learn more about him.
What we got from?
I got this part is called the Katha Upanishad. I figure we could power through it.
Cool.
But, we'll see how far we get. And I think it might be slightly abridged or something. But this is the intro to that section. And I don't know I think a separate guy wrote the intros to the sections. With chapter introductions and concluding essay by Michael N. Nagler. So Eknath, Nagler, joint. Okay. If there's one Upanishad that can be called a favorite in all ages, it is the Katha. It is not hard to see why. Its theme, broadly, is the same as that of all the Upanishads. The deathless self, the need for and the way to its realization. But the Katha is more successful than other Upanishads at describing this in several ways. As we have seen with the Kena, the right questions are half the battle in life. In the Katha, we have the right question in highly dramatic form. In fact, we have a highly imaginative confrontation of the ideal teacher and the ideal student, and their identity is surprising. The latter is a teenage boy, and his teacher is death. Whoa. We must consider why. Nothing places the question, who am I, in such a stark relief as the fact of death. What dies? What is left? Are we here merely to be torn away from everyone and everyone from us? And what, if anything, can we do about death now while we still are alive? Most social life seems a conspiracy to discourage us from thinking of these questions. But there is a rare type for whom death is present every moment, putting his grim question mark to every aspect of life, and that person cannot rest without some answers. It can happen to anyone. In the fall of a sparrow, a dead animal on the freeway, news report of some faraway natural disaster, the passing of an old friend, or a new one, in some chance reminder of the nuclear sword that hangs over every one of us. In all these that unwelcome presence can make itself briefly but urgently known.
Death.
Yeah, the death. You think about death. Yeah, if you want.
Especially if you're a young teenage boy.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Nachiketa represents that rare type of awakened person in whom this presence, once glimpsed, can never go away. Now that I have seen your face, he says to death, what can I enjoy? Yet, rare as he is, he represents the capacity latent in all of us to face the grim awareness and use it as a drive to deepening consciousness. In other Upanishads and throughout Indian literature, allegory is a favorite device, but rarely is it more dynamic and successful than in the Katha. The opening narrative is an extended allegory which keeps spiritual depth and dramatic vividness in high suspense. The story never becomes unreal, and its archetypal significance never becomes invisible. Neither is mere vehicle or signifier for the other. Every detail has immediate and transcendent reality, in some cases making translation unusually inadequate. Nachiketa, who has more personality than most Upanishadic figures, asks as an abstraction, could not, what is death going to do with me today? But at the same time, he immediately universalizes his condition, which is in fact the most universal of human destinies. I shall go to death at the head of many more to follow. That, Nachiketa, is consigned to death by his own father, cries out for allegorical interpretation, and it is not hard to supply. As Julian of Norwich, a 14th century English anchoress and mystic, wrote, I'm a huge Julian of Norwich fan.
I wasn't aware.
She's a 14th century English anchoress. So she just lives in one room and doesn't leave.
That's what an anchor is?
Yeah, or anchoress. Anchor and then S, like a lady. They're just, I think they they lock him in a room or something. Yeah, they lock him in a room. I don't really, and then they just kind of.
I wasn't aware of this.
They kind of get all freaky. Yeah,
Anchor's
they get all
profession.
freaky in the room.
Whoa.
They lock him in there. They get all freaky.
They write stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
She wrote this. We wot that our parents do but bear us into death. A strange thing that. I'll read it again. We wot that our parents do but bear us into death. A strange thing that. Birth is but the beginning of a trajectory to death. For all their love, parents cannot halt it, and in a sense have given us to death merely by giving us birth.
True. They killed us. Our parents killed us.
Yeah,
by
pretty
birth.
much. I don't know who did if it's not them. As for the student, we can only pause in admiration of this ancient civilization whose hero is a teenager who has not learned the rudimentary grace of civilized existence, to hold his peace in the presence of hypocrisy. Nachiketa is an attractive character who cannot go along with the sham, but he is not an obstreperous rebel. Zane, can you look up what obstreperous means?
Yeah.
O-B-S-T-R-E.
Obstreperous.
I bet it just means he's, like, annoying. What do you think? What's your guess for obstreperous?
Maybe stubborn, I would think.
I think he's going to be, like, trocular.
Okay.
I think he's going to be truculous. He's, like, annoying. I think it means you're annoying.
Obstrecular?
No, obstreperous.
Obstreperous.
Obstrep.
Oh, found it. Boom. To clamor against. Marked by unruly or aggressive noisiness.
Unruly
Stubbornly
noisiness.
resistant
Nice.
to control.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I was waiting. I'm just
So-
kidding. We both said some of the
both
words.
said
We
some
both
of
said
the
some of the words.
So we're both right. Just
Yeah, we were both very right. Per usual, we were both very right.
Great.
He is more sincere about convention than his father, including the convention of obedience to a father, even when the latter has lost his temper. And his first wish is for reconciliation with him. At no time does he lack respect, but that is just the point. He forces the issue by taking the demands of religion seriously, when the majority have long since allowed external observance to paper over it, making of it a dead letter that no longer communicates anything about personal struggle. But by poking holes in society's shroud of complacency, he represents again what it would take to awaken any and all of us. The text sums up in the single trait it tells us about the lad. He has shraddha, determined seriousness, a deep, abiding, confident faith. We should all strive to have shraddha.
He sounds pretty cool. He's like kind of tearing it up from the inside, is what it's saying.
He's poking holes in society's shroud of complacency. But yeah, in structure and content, the Katha is more of an organic whole than any but the briefest Upanishads. It begins with a prose narrative of the Once Upon a Time variety, sounding very much like its source story in the Brahmanas. But it quickly enters a gripping dramatic situation with the characters' speeches in verse. Then follows the encounter of Nachiketa with death, and its dramatic reversal when he passes death's severe test and changes him from gruff, off-putting deity to delighted teacher.
Sounds like a coming-of-age story.
Yeah, maybe we should just get to that part. Maybe just skip to that part.
Real coming-of-age moment.
Yeah. Though his interpersonal drama falls into the background during the subsequent teaching, it comes back, as it were, triumphantly at the end of the Upanishad, along with several keywords and the major themes of questions for which Nachiketa had gone to the king of death to find some answer. The Katha consistently lays stress on several practical themes of the spiritual life that only a living human teacher can impart realization to another human being. That in all human experience, it is really only the self, pure consciousness, that is the enjoyer, so that when one realizes the capital S self, there is nothing else to be known, and all the knots that strangle the heart are loosened. And of course, that death only occurs to the part of us which was born and launched into separate existence. The Upanishad thus speaks to a longing which could not be deeper or more universal, that someday, somehow, as Don put it, death shall be no more, death thou shalt die. The Katha is also distinctive in explaining with the use of two very practical terms that every moment we live, even theoretically, while we sleep, we face a steep choice between what will move us closer to that day and what will only postpone it. That is, between what is good and what is merely pleasant. In Sanskrit, between Shreya and Preya. While there are no dualities and no compartments in reality, as long as there are dualities and compartments in personality, we have to pay careful attention to this distinction at every moment. But that makes life very much worth living, and perhaps in this sense, as Wallace Stevens wrote in Sunday Morning, death is the mother of beauty. Hence, from her alone shall fulfillment to our dreams and our desires.
Whoa.
So it's been my biggest dream to die. So it's one of my lifelong dreams is to die.
Shreya on the front, Preya on the back.
Yeah.
Shreya, Preya.
I wonder when does he meet death? I think he meets him pretty quick. I'm gonna restart it and then I'll pass it to you when he gets to Yama.
Cool.
Is Yama has to be the Lord of Death, right?
No way of knowing how many characters are going to be
Yama?
in the Upanishad.
Yama? That's like the devil in China.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Once long ago, Vajrasrivasa gave away his possessions to gain religious merit. He had a son named Nachiketa, who, though only a boy, was full of faith in the scriptures. Nachiketa thought when the offerings were made, what merit can one obtain by giving away cows that are too old to give milk? His father, to help his father understand this, Nachiketa said, "To whom will you offer me?" he asked this again and again. "To death I give you," said his father in anger. The son thought, "I go, the first of many who will die, in the midst of many who are dying, on a mission to Yama, king of death."
Yeah, good call.
See how it was with those who came before, how it will be with those who are living. Like corn, mortals ripen and fall. Like corn, they come up again. Nachiketa went to Yama's abode, but the king of death was not there. He waited 3 days. When Yama returned, he heard a voice say, "When a spiritual guest enters the house like a bright flame, he must be received well, with water to wash his feet. Far from wise are those who are not hospitable to such a guest. They will lose all their hopes, the religious merit they have acquired, their sons and their cattle."
True. You gotta let your guests wash their feet.
Yeah. When Yama returned, he heard a voice. Oh, no, that was him. That was Nachiketa. No, that was Nachiketa talking. When Yama returned, Yama, heard a voice say. I think, yeah.
Oh, Yama heard...
When Yama returned, he heard a voice say.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of like dissing
like, hey,
Yama. So you're going to pick up Yama.
Okay.
At the top. And he's just been like, why can't I wash my... You didn't even let me wash my feet.
"Oh, spiritual guest, I grant you 3 boons to atone for the 3 inhospitable nights you've spent in my abode. Ask for 3 boons, one for each night." And then Nachiketa is like, "Oh, king of death, as first of these boons, grant that my father's anger be appeased, so he may recognize me when I return and receive me with love." So wants his father to forgive him. First, make sure I'm not grounded.
Yeah.
"I grant that your father, the son of Udalaka and Aruna, will love you as in the past. When he sees you released from the jaws of death, he will sleep again with a mind at peace." And then Nachiketa says, "There's no fear at all in heaven for you are not there. Neither old age nor death, passing beyond hunger and thirst and pain, all rejoice in the kingdom of heaven. You know the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven, O King of Death. I have full faith in you and ask for instruction. Let this be your second boon to me." "Yes, I know, Nachiketa, and shall teach you the first sacrifice that leads to heaven and sustains the world, that knowledge concealed in the heart. Now listen." Then the King of Death taught Nachiketa how to perform the fire sacrifice, how to erect the altar for worshipping the fire from which the universe evolves. When the boy repeated his instruction, the dread King of Death was well pleased and said, Let me give you a special boon. A boon is like a wish, right?
Boon is just anything cool, yeah.
Okay, it's just
Money
a cool...
is a boon.
Okay.
Treasure's a boon.
Got it. They've said a lot of boons.
Usually, it's usually if you're someone of immense power, you may grant someone some boons.
Okay.
I could grant you a boon.
Well, yeah, this special boon is this special boon is a sacrifice.
Okay.
It shall be named by your name, Nachiketa. Accept from me this many-hued chain too. Okay, so the boon is the sacrifice and a chain.
He's giving him a many-hued chain.
Many-hued chain. It's like a colorful.
Yeah, like
a
Meister.
pride chain, like a.
That dude in Game of Thrones, they're always talking about how the Meister has a chain, and his chain, each link in the chain is made of a different metal.
Yeah.
So I assumed it's many-hued, but maybe it's many-hued in a different way.
Like silver, gold, and platinum. And
yeah, each link in the Meister chain has to be a different.
Those who have thrice performed this sacrifice realize their unity with Father, Mother, and Teacher, and discharge the three duties of studying the Scriptures, ritual worship, studying the Scriptures, ritual worship, and giving alms to those in need. Rise above birth and death, knowing the God of fire. Born of Brahman, they attain perfect peace. Those who carry out this triple duty, conscious of its full meaning, will shake off the dread noose of death and transcend sorrow to enjoy the world of heaven. Thus, I have granted you the second boon.
Second boon is a triple duty.
It's this
double boon, triple duty.
Double boon, triple duty, the secret of the fire.
Double duty, triple duty, triple booty. Triple booty, double duty, double duty, triple booty.
Triple booty boon. The second.
You will now have 3 booties.
The second boon.
Your second booty.
The teacher.
What's the third boon? Any guesses?
The third boon's coming
up. The first and second boon, I don't even really understand.
The second boon was like a sacrifice, and the fire. It was like a secret of the fire, which gives you a chain. Maybe because they use fire to make the chain or something.
The third one is a
bird.
Girl.
Oh, I said a bird. That's good. That's good too. Yeah.
I bet it's one of those.
It's probably maybe a
girl or a bird.
Yeah. Ask now, Nachiketa, for the third boon.
He's gonna kill me, bitch.
Well, here's what Nachiketa says. He says, well, when a person dies, there arises this doubt. He still exists, say some. He does not, say others. I want you to teach me the truth. This is my third boon.
Well, I don't know about this boon. That doesn't really work for me, the King of Death. So if you would please choose a different boon, I would really appreciate that.
That's crazy you say that. That's crazy that you pretty much predicted exactly what I was about to say. This doubt haunted even the gods of old. For the secret of death is hard to know. Nachiketa, ask for some other boon. And release me from my promise.
Please. He won't relent.
Nachiketa is like, this doubt haunted even the gods of old. For it's hard to know, O death, as you say. I can have no greater teacher than you. And there is no boon equal to this. There's no boon equal to this. This is kind of,
Can you think of any boons in the Quran? God gives Solomon some boons in the Bible.
I'm sure he does give some boons.
He goes, because it's like... It's
probably
Solomon gets, like, infinite wisdom.
That's
or something.
Cool, yeah.
He's like, God's like, I'll give you anything. And he's like... infinite wisdom.
It's probably like a battle strategy or some sort of like
genie.
Some sort of a genie is totally possible.
Genie's sort of a trick boon.
Yeah,
they usually have false boons.
Yeah, false boons. Because I get what a boon is now completely.
It's for genies.
It's very genie.
Genies are kind of boon oriented.
Yeah, I mean anything where you're like, I'll give you 3 of this thing is pretty genie coded. Okay, but Yama is like, Nachiketa is like, there's no boon other than that boon. That's the boon I want. Yama's trying to negotiate. He goes, ask for sons or grandsons who will live 100 years. Ask, which isn't that many now, but 100 years. Ask for herds of cattle, elephants and horses, gold and vast land, and ask to live as long as you desire. Or if you can think of anything more desirable, ask for that, with wealth and long life as well. Nachiketa,
with a long life.
Be the ruler of a great kingdom. I will give you the utmost capacity to enjoy the pleasures of life. Ask for beautiful women of loveliness rarely seen on earth, riding in chariots, skilled in music to attend on you.
Ask for a Twi'lek.
Ask for Grimes.
Ask for a Twi'lek. Rarely seen on earth.
rarely seen on Earth, skilled in music. But Nachiketa, don't ask me about the secret of death.
I have one request for you, Nachiketa.
Okay, I hear you. These pleasures last but until tomorrow, and they wear out the vital powers of life. How fleeting is all life on Earth? Therefore keep your horses and chariots and dancing and music for yourself. Never can mortals be made happy by wealth. How can we be desirous of wealth when we see your face?
Exactly. Death's face.
It totally bummed me out. And no, we cannot live while you are here. This is the boon I choose and ask you for. Having approached an immortal like you, how can I, subject to old age and death, ever try to rejoice in a long life? For the sakes of the senses, fleeting pleasures? Dispel this doubt of mine, O King of Death. Does a person live after death, or does he not? Nachiketa asks for no other boon than the secret of this great mystery. Having tested young Nachiketa and found him fit to receive spiritual instruction, Yama, King of Death, said, "The joy of the Atman ever abides, but not what seems pleasant to the senses. Both these, differing in their purpose, prompt man to action. All is well for those who choose the joy of the Atman, but they miss the goal of life who prefer the pleasant. Perennial joy or passing pleasure? This is the choice one is to make always. The wise recognizes these two, but not the ignorant.
Yeah, the wise recognize.
The first welcome what leads to abiding joy. Though painful at the time, the latter run, goaded by their senses, after what seems immediate pleasure. Well, have you renowned these passing pleasures, so dear to the senses, Nachiketa, and turned your back on the way of the world, which makes mankind forget the goal of life? Far apart from wisdom and ignorance, the first leads one to self-realization, the second makes one more and more estranged from his real self. I regard you, Nachiketa, worthy of instruction, for passing pleasures tempt you not at all.
Nice.
Ignorant of their ignorance, yet wise in their own esteem, these deluded men, proud of their vain learning, go round and round, like blind led by the blind.
Whoa.
Far beyond their eyes, hypnotized by the world of sense, opens the way to immortality. I am my body. When my body dies, I die. Living in this superstition, they fall life after life under my sway.
A lot of y'all are hypnotized by the world of sense.
A lot of y'all.
Okay?
A lot of y'all are blind, being led by the blind.
A lot of y'all, I got a problem with a lot. Okay, I'm quitting. Y'all are hypnotized by the world of sense.
It is but few who hear about the self. Fewer still dedicate their lives to its realization. Wonderful is the one who speaks about the self. Rare are they who make it the supreme goal of their lives.
Whoa.
Blessed are they who, through an illumined teacher, attain to self-realization. The truth of the self cannot come through one who has not realized that he is the self. The intellect cannot reveal the self beyond its duality of subject and object. They who see themselves in all and all in them who help others through spiritual osmosis to realize the self themselves. It's cool that he said
spiritual osmosis.
Yeah, spiritual osmosis.
Much to consider.
That's cool. Pretty cool phrase to bring up now.
Need to check out the Sanskrit original, but
for spiritual osmosis.
Yeah.
This awakening you have known comes not through logic and scholarship, but from close association with a realized teacher.
Boom.
Wise are you, Nachiketa,
Boom.
because you seek the self-eternal.
It's from listening to podcasts.
And we have more seekers like you.
Not actually reading books, but listening to a podcast.
True. That is where you can achieve eternity. I know that earthly treasures are transient, Yama, and never can I reach the eternal through them. Right. Hence have I renounced all my desires for earthly treasures, to win the eternal through your instruction.
Okay.
I spread your eyes, Nachiketa, the fulfillment of all worldly desires, power to dominate the earth, delights celestial gained through religious rites, miracles, miraculous powers beyond time and space. These with will and wisdom have you renounced. The wise, realizing through meditation, the timeless self beyond all perception, hidden in the cave of the heart, leave pain and pleasure far behind. Those who know they are neither body nor mind, but the immemorial self, the divine principle of existence, find the source of all joy and live in joy abiding. I see the gates of joy are opening for you, Nachiketa.
Whoa.
So he's kind of opening the gates of joy. He's like, you can rule the world. Teach me of that you see as beyond right and wrong, cause and effect, past and future. I will give you the word all the scriptures glorify, all spiritual disciples or disciplines express, to attain which aspirants lead a life of self-restraint and self-nodding. It is O-M. The symbol of the Godhead is the highest. Realizing it, one finds complete fulfillment of all longings, of one's longings. It is of the greatest support to all seekers, those whose hearts O-M reverberates. Increasingly are indeed blessed and deeply loved as one who is the self. Of course, the all-knowing self was never born, nor will it die. Beyond cause and effect, this self is eternal and immutable. When the body dies, the self does not die. If the slayer believes that he can slay, or the slain believes that he cannot be slain.
My eternal self's immutable. Oh, you thought you could fuck with me. Oh, joke's on you, bro. My eternal self is immutable and non-transferable.
Neither knows the truth. The eternal self slays not, nor is ever slain. Hidden in the heart of every creature exists the self, subtler than the subtlest, greater than the greatest. They go beyond sorrow, who extinguish their self-will, and beyond the glory of the self, through the grace of the Lord of love. So this is still the third boon. Though one sits in the meditation in a particular place,
I think this is, after the third boon, he was going, the death goes, all right, you're cool, I'll teach you.
Yeah, and he's just teaching him everything, right? Yeah, that's what I was kind of, yeah. Though one sits in meditation in a particular place, the self within can exercise his influence far away, though still he moves everything everywhere. I'm going to talk for a while. When the wise realize the self, formless in the midst of forms, changeless in the midst of change, omnipresent and supreme, they go beyond sorrow. The self cannot be known through study of the scriptures, nor through the intellect, nor through hearing learned discourses. The self can be attained only by those whom the self chooses.
Dang. I thought hearing learned discourses would work.
No.
Earlier I was like, wait, what about hearing learned discourses?
Turns out that's not how the self reveals himself. The self cannot be known by anyone. Who desists not from unrighteous ways, controls not his senses, stills not his mind, and practices not meditation. None else can know the omnipresent self, whose glory sweeps away the rituals of the priests and the prowess of the warrior, and puts death itself to death.
Whoa.
Pretty cool.
You have to kill death.
It's the third one.
Alright. In the secret cave of the heart, two are seated by life's fountain. The separate ego drinks of the sweet and bitter stuff, liking the sweet, disliking the bitter, while the supreme self drinks sweet and bitter. Did you guys ever think of that? Neither liking this nor disliking that, the ego gropes in darkness while the self lives in light. So declare the illumined sages and the householders who worship the sacred fire in the name of the Lord. The householders?
Those the Zoroastrians?
I don't know who the householders are. Yeah, I think that is right, yeah. May we light the fire of Nachiketa that burns out the ego and enables us to pass from fearful fragmentation to fearless fullness in the changeless whole.
I'm familiar with the changeless whole.
Right, but yeah. We need to pass from fearful fragmentation.
Of course.
I'm mostly familiar with fearful fragmentation.
I'm in my fearful fragmentation era.
Know the self as lord of the chariot, the body as the chariot itself, the discriminating intellect as charioteer, and the mind as reins. So this is like we're in a cool car.
Yeah.
Our body's a cool car, and we're driving it, and the steering wheel is our mind. The senses, say the wise, are the horses. So the senses are the engine.
Yeah.
Selfish desires are the roads they travel. When the self is confused with the body, mind, and senses, they point out, he seems to enjoy pleasure and suffer sorrow. When one lacks discrimination and his mind is undisciplined, the senses run hither and thither like wild horses. But they obtain the rein like trained horses when one has discrimination and has made the mind one-pointed. Those who lack discrimination with little control over their thoughts and far from pure reach not the pure state of immortality, but rather but wander from death to death. But those who have discrimination with a still mind and a pure heart reach journey's end, never again to fall into the jaws of death. With a discriminating intellect as charioteer and a trained mind as reins, they attain the supreme goal of life, to be united with the Lord of love. The senses derive from objects of sense perception. Sense objects from mind, mind from intellect, and intellect from ego. Ego from undifferentiated consciousness, and consciousness from Brahman. Brahman is first cause and last refuge. Brahman, the...
Ken Brockman? Ken Brockman?
Ken Brahman. The hidden self in everyone does not shine forth. He is revealed only to those who keep their mind one-pointed.
I'm Ken Brockman.
On the Lord of love, and thus develop a superconscious manner of knowing. Meditation enables them to go deeper and deeper into consciousness from the world of words to the world of thoughts. Then beyond thoughts to wisdom in the self. Get up! Wake up! Seek the guidance of an illumined teacher and realize the self. Sharp like a razor's edge, the sages say, is the path difficult to traverse. The supreme self is beyond name and form, beyond the senses, inexhaustible, without beginning, without end, beyond time and space and causality, eternal, immutable. Those who realize the self are forever free from the jaws of death. The wise who gain experiential knowledge of this timeless tale of Nachiketa narrated by death attain the glory of living in spiritual awareness. Those who, full of devotion, recite this supreme mystery at a spiritual gathering are fit for eternal life. They are indeed fit for eternal life. That's the end of part 1. I think we'll probably cut it there. We might hit part 2 some other time.
Seems like Death's got some wisdom.
We could kill it though. Wait, there's not that many pages. You want to try to kill it?
Do part 2? Is it not?
Yeah, try to. There's like couple more pages. We'll kill it.
It's still Death talking.
We need to figure out Death as the teacher.
Nachiketa. The self-existent Lord.
It's my girl Nachiketa.
I keep changing voices. Sometimes I'm doing like this, and then sometimes I'm just doing
good.
The self-existent Lord pierced the senses to turn outward. Thus we look to the world outside and see not the self within us. A sage withdrew his senses from the world of change, and seeking immortality looked within and beheld the deathless self. The immature run after sense pleasures and fall into the widespread net of death. But the wise, knowing the self as deathless, seek not the changeless in the world of change. That through which one enjoys form, taste, smell, sound, touch, and sexual union is the self. Can there be anything not known to that who is the one and all? No one, no all. That through which one enjoys the waking and sleeping states is the self. To know that as consciousness is to go beyond sorrow.
Whoa.
Those who know the self as enjoyer of the honey from the flowers of the senses, ever present within, ruler of time, go beyond fear, for the self is supreme. The God of creation, Brahma, born of the Godhead through meditation, before the waters of life were created, who stands in the heart of every creature, is the self indeed, for this self is supreme. The goddess of energy, it's a list of goddesses.
I'll go.
You can do the goddess of energy. It's only 3, but it's good.
The goddess of energy, Aditi, born of the Godhead through vitality, mother of all cosmic forces, who stands in the heart of every creature, is the self indeed, for this self is supreme. The god of fire, Agni, hidden between 2 fire sticks like a child well protected in the mother's womb, whom we adore every day in meditation, is the self indeed, for this self is supreme. That which is the source of the sun and of every power in the cosmos, beyond which there is neither going nor coming, is the self indeed. For this self is supreme.
Who are the 3? So there's 3 of them.
What is here is also there. What is there, also here. Who sees multiplicity, but not the one indivisible self, must wander on and on from death to death. So yeah, if you're asking any questions about the multiplicity, you might be in danger of wandering on and on from death to death. So only the one-pointed mind attains this state of unity. There is no one but the self who sees multiplicity. Who sees multiplicity, but not the one indivisible self must wander on and on from death to death. Oh, it says it again. Okay. That's funny because I had already read it again. That thumb-sized being enshrined in the heart, ruler of time past and future, to see whom is to go beyond all fear, is the self indeed, for this self is supreme. That thumb-sized being, a flame without smoke, ruler of time past and future, the same on this day as on tomorrow, is the self indeed, for this self is supreme. As the rain on the mountain peak runs off the slopes on all sides, so those who see only the seeming multiplicity of life run after things on every side. As pure water poured into pure water becomes the very same, so does the self of the illumined man or woman, Nachiketa, verily become one with the Godhead. All right, there's some kind of city description coming up.
There is a city with 11 gates, of which the ruler is the unborn self, whose light forever shines. They go beyond sorrow who meditate on the self and are freed from the cycle of birth and death. For this
it's
self,
your body.
Huh? That you think that I have 11 gates on my body?
I think so. I was just counting on my gates.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know though. I kind of zoned out, so I probably missed some critical stuff.
The self is the sun shining in the sky, the wind blowing in space. He is the fire at the altar, and in the home, the guest. He dwells in human beings, in gods, in truth, and in the vast firmament. He is the fish born in water, the plant growing in the earth, the river flowing down from the mountain, for this self is supreme. The adorable one who is seated in the heart rules the breath of life. Yes, the adorable one, Mudang. In the heart, Mudang, who is seated in the heart, rules the breath of life.
Yeah, I like the thumb-sized, adorable one.
Onto him, all the senses pay their homage. When the dweller in the body breaks out in freedom from the bonds of flesh, what remains? For this self is supreme. We live not by the breath that flows in and flows out, but by him who causes the breath to flow in and flow out. Now, O Nachiketa, I will teach you of this unseen eternal Brahman, and what befalls the self after death. Of those unaware of the self, some are born as embodied creatures, while others remain in a lower stage of evolution, as determined by their own need for growth.
Italians.
Is this kind of rebirth thing or reincarnation stuff?
Yeah,
that which is awake.
They love it.
Of course.
They love that stuff.
It sounds like that's definitely the direction it's going. That which is awake even in our sleep, giving form in dreams to the objects of sense craving, that indeed is pure light. Brahman the immortal, who contains all the cosmos and beyond, whom none can go, for this self is supreme. As the same fire assumes different shapes when it consumes objects differing in shape, so does the one self take the shape of every creature in whom he is present.
Did you ever think about that?
I bet it's going to say that. As the same air assumes different shapes.
Right.
I think you know where
Water?
it's going. I thought it was going to do water, but it just...
I guess I said that thing about water earlier.
It already said fire
pure water
and
into
air.
pure water, and it would still be pure water.
But pretty much it's okay. As the sun, who is the eye of the world, cannot be tainted by the defects in our eyes or by the objects it looks on, so the one self, dwelling in all, cannot be tainted by the evils of the world, for the self transcends all. The ruler supreme, inner self of all, multiplies his oneness into many. Eternal joy is theirs who see the self in their own hearts. To none else does it come. Changeless amidst the things that pass away, pure consciousness in all who are conscious, the one answers the prayers of many. Eternal peace is theirs who see the self in their own hearts. To none else does it come. And then Nachiketa says, but how can I know that blissful self, supreme, inexpressible, realized by the wise? Is he the light, or does he reflect light? There shines not the sun, neither moon nor star, nor flash of lightning, nor fire lit on earth. The self is light reflected by all. The shining, everything shines after him. That's the second one.
Dang. Oh, there's still the third one? Oh, nice. Yes, not too much. The tree of eternity has its roots above and its branches on earth below. Its pure root is Brahman, the immortal, from whom all the worlds draw their life, and whom none can transcend, for this self is supreme. The cosmos come forth from Brahman and moves in him. With his power, it reverberates like thunder crashing in the sky. Those who realize him pass beyond the sway of death. In fear of him, fire burns. In fear of him, the sun shines, the clouds rain, and the winds blow. In fear of him, death stalks about to kill. If one fails to realize Brahman in this life before the physical sheath is shed, he must again put on a body in the world of embodied creatures. Brahman can be seen as in a mirror, in a pure heart, in the world of the ancestors, as in a dream, in the Gandharva world, as the reflections in trembling waters, and clear as light in the realm of Brahma.
Those who understood the assignment will know Brahman.
Knowing the senses to be separate from self, and the sense experience to be fleeting, the wise grieve no more. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intellect. Above that is the ego. And above the ego is the unmanifested cause, capital C. And beyond is Brahman, omnipresent, attributeless. Realizing him, one is realized from the cycle of birth and death. Released. He is formless and can never be seen with these two eyes. He can never be seen with these two eyes. But he reveals himself in the heart made pure through meditation and sense restraint. Realizing him, one is released from the cycle of birth and death. When the five senses are stilled, when the mind is stilled, when the intellect is stilled, that is called the highest state by the wise. They say yoga is this complete stillness in which one enters the unitive state, never to become separate again. If one is not established in this state, the sense of unity will come and go. The unitive state cannot be attained through words or thoughts or through the eye. How can it be attained except through one who is established in this state himself? There are two selves, the separate ego and the indivisible Atman. When one rises above I and me and mine, the Atman is revealed as one's real self. I me mine.
I mean mine.
It's a good George Harrison Beatles song.
Mm-hmm.
I me mine. When all desires that surge in the heart are renounced, the mortal becomes immortal. When all the knots that strangle the heart are loosened, the mortal becomes immortal. This sums up the teaching of the scriptures. From the heart there radiate 101 vital tracts. One of them rises to the crown of the head. This way leads to immortality, the others to death. The Lord of love, not larger than the thumb, is ever enshrined in the hearts of all. Draw him clear out of the physical sheath, as one draws the stalk from the munja grass. Know thyself to be pure and immortal. Know thyself to be pure and immortal. Nachiketa learned from the king of death the whole discipline of meditation. Freeing himself from all separateness, he won immortality in Brahman. So blessed is everyone who knows the self. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Great way to end anything.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Great, Yama, teach me your master class.
Yeah, please teach me how to.
15% discount on Yama's master class.
We got all these notes. I gotta read these notes later. They seem good.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was the Katha.
Sounded rude. I feel like there was a lot of good wisdom there.
Yeah.
To gain from Yama.
Really...
Oh, Death.
Yeah, him and Death said cool stuff.
Teach me what happens after we die. Please, get me to teach you anything else. I'll
Please.
teach you anything else, dude. I'll teach you.
Please. Don't make me.
What's the one thing I don't want to teach you?
Okay. We're going to change gears. We got the short stories of Saki H.H. Munro. He's a humorist from England. I'm going to read the back flap, and then you can read the intro.
Sweet.
Hector Hugh Munro, Saki, was born in 1870 at Akyab, Burma. A humorist of the highest spirits, he wrote first satirical political sketches for the Westminster Gazette in London and later wrote for the Morning Post as a foreign correspondent in the Balkans, Russia, and Paris. He also wrote for the Bystander and the Daily Express, during which time he lived in the Surrey Hills near London, and in evenings played his favorite game, bridge, at the Cocoa Tree Club. At the beginning of World War I, he enlisted as a private in the 22nd Royal Fusiliers, refused several offers of a commission, and went out to France as a corporal at the end of 1915. He was killed in the attack on Beaumont Hamel on November 13th, 1916.
Well, it would have been so cool if John Oliver went to war and died in 2014.
Yeah, they're like, John Oliver, he's going to Iraq. And we tried to make him an officer, but he refused. So he's going to die now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're going to read that.
I'll read the intro. He seems cool.
Yeah, the introduction is good. It's by Christopher Morley, who I looked up at one point. He writes books, too.
That's good. That's the kind of guy you want writing.
He's maybe British.
To a book. Okay, quick question. Rubaiyat. You know
Rubaiyat.
What does that mean? Rubai.
The Rubaiyat. It's like a book of poems by Omar Khayyam, and he's like maybe Persian or something. Or...
Oh, and it's like sort of like poetry or like.
I think they're poems, and maybe there's some stories too, kind of vibe.
The smiling, bitter Rubaiyat from which Hector Munro took his pseudonym were effectively symbolic of his own gift. The empty glass we turn down for him is the fragile, hollow-stemmed goblet meant for driest champagne. It is of finest crystal. Occasionally at his table, we are aware that he was also a still wine of elect vintage. But for the most part, he preferred to sparkle and fume with incessant bubbles of wit, a wit for which such words as satire, cynicism, sophistry, so...
I think it's sophistry.
Sophistry, like sophisticated, sophistry, and are all too gassy. There is something of great encouragement in the renewed republication of his tales. One might have thought that to the rising generation he would speak an assimilable language. Like certain beverages now almost mythical in the United States, he is genuinely pre-war, genuinely Scotch too. At least one reader is taken back by him to the vanished world of an Oxford common room, when copies of the Bystander of the Westminster Gazette occasionally printed his grave mockeries. More often, though, it was the Morning Post. The fateful and severe anti-Americanism of that journal caused it to be read by some Rhodes scholars as a carminative.
Oh, yeah.
You know carminative?
We looked it up last time we read this.
Of course.
I'll read it. I'll look it up again. I think it means it makes you fart or... I kind of remember it something like that.
That's pretty good. That's a really good word to know. That's such a funny thing to put as make a word.
Carport. Okay. Carrot.
Like Brussels sprouts are carminative?
I don't know. Let me double check this. Carminative.
Like a laxative?
Expelling gas from the alimentary canal so as to relieve colic or griping. So I think it's like, what's the alimentary? I gotta look up the alimentary canal now.
It's probably your butt. I
think it's no, because it's colic. It's like in your mouth.
Oh, you think it's burping? Maybe it's burping.
Yeah, I think you kind of burp.
Or laugh?
I think it's like a laugh, but...
Well, the faithful and severe anti-Americanism of the journal caused it to be read by some as this. Oh, yeah, scoffing.
I think it's like that. Let me look up... I'm trying to find the alimentary canal.
The canal which we scoff from in our bodies.
Alimentary canal, the tubular passage that extends from the mouth to anus and functions in digestion and absorption of food and elimination of residual waste. So it's both.
It's just the whole canal.
It could be a burp or a fart. It's carminative.
Yeah. It was worth it, for there one discovered sake. In recent revivals of his books, distinguished enthusiasts have spoken handsomely of his urbane malice and charm. But in all those comments, the friendliest critics have shown themselves instinctively puzzled how to proceed. All have fallen back upon the quotation of Saki's own felicities. This is inevitable. The fact is there are few writers less profitable to write about. Sake exists only to be read. The exquisite lightness of his work offers no grasp for the solemnities of earnest criticism. Solemnities. He is of those brilliant and lucky volatiles who are to be enjoyed, not critic handled? Not critic handled. He will be instinctively recognized and relished by those capable.
So if you're not liking it, seems like that's a you problem.
Seems like you're not capable.
Seems like you're probably fucking dumb, dude.
Probably couldn't.
All right, I looked up urbane.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Notably polite or finished in manner. Polished, suave.
That makes sense.
I kind of knew that.
Accustomed to accustomed to urban life or urban.
Yeah, fancy.
Yeah, fancy.
Good at being all fancy.
City folk. Mr. E.V. Lucas, expert on both mirth and grimness.
Yeah,
That's a cool thing to be an expert on.
Same.
Long ago described the perfect hostess as one who puts by the guest room bed a volume either of O. Henry or Saki or both. This is the perfect guest room bed.
Okay, it either has Garfield or Cowan and Hobbes or both, okay?
It is all right to put it there, but one hopes it will be brought downstairs the next morning, for Saki's most perfect felicity is to be read aloud in a house party setting. True.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was the thing where I was reading this book and I was like, I gotta figure out how to get a house party setting going where I can read Saki.
The bracketing with O. Henry is not just casual, though the two are...
O. Henry's goated, yeah.
Yeah, though the two are instinctive storytellers.
In Austin?
The two are as different as Texas and Surrey. Both are instinctive storytellers dealing perfectly with their chosen material. Both also did all their best work for newspapers. The English country house hostess, chambermaid, or candidate standing for a by-election are creatures as wild and strange to an American reader as O. Henry's ranchmen and medicine show grifters to the London congregation of W. H. Smith. Both Saki and O. Henry are masters of the park bench setting. Saki was less insistent on twisting the story's tale, but an equal master of surprise when he chose. Let the lover of O. Henry read Saki's Dusk, or The Mouse, or The Reticence of Lady Anne, or The Open Window, and see what I mean. The English flapper, or nut of pre-war days, was anatomized by Saki as shrewdly as and less sentimentally than O. Henry's sheepherder or shopgirl. He could purge the decorous amenities of an English weekend party with blasts of cyclone farce. I love cyclone farce.
Oh, you guys are going to see Zane later? Watch out for blasts of cyclone farce.
He could show the conversation of a few ladies at bridge as... He could show the conversation of a few ladies at bridge as deadly and quick on the trigger of concealed weapons as a Western barroom brawl. Whoa. What does that mean exactly?
They're playing bridge and they're all being really mean to each other.
Okay, and he's just as... Okay.
He's good at describing them being mean.
Okay, he could show it. That makes sense. There's no... Yeah, that checks out. There's no greater compliment to be paid the right kind of friend than to hand him sake without comment. Particularly to those less familiar with the mysterious jungles of English humor. A savage country with birds of unexpected plumage. Sake's... plumage?
Beautiful plumage.
Unexpected plumage. Saki's insouciant. You looked that word? Insouciant spoof. You already know that one? Insouciant.
Yeah, we looked up last time.
Maybe revelation.
That's a shade.
Many who believe the famous phrase, no more privacy than a goldfish, to be inalienably American will be surprised to find that Saki used it in 1903 or thereabouts.
That's way earlier than we thought.
I always say no more privacy than a goldfish.
I've no more privacy than a goldfish.
They're collecting my data? Yeah, I have no more privacy than a goldfish nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, who, me?
Though I dare say it may really date from Alexander Pope. Oh,
As most
it may
things,
really, okay.
Most stuff.
Delicate, airy, lucid, precise, and with the inconspicuous agility of perfect style, Andrew can pass into the uncanny, the tragic, into mocking fairy tales grimmer than grim.
Whoa.
His phrases are always urbane and usually final. His hair and forehead furnished a recessional note in a personality that was, in all other respects, obtrusive and assertive. Probably more than any writer who ever lived, he has made a study of aunts and nephews. That's good material. There's a lot there.
You know, yeah, you're just like, wow.
Wow.
Wow. Buckle up.
His sister's biographical sketch, which tells with moderation of the appalling auntly regime of their childhood, gives us a clue to this. Aunts and werewolves were two of his specialties. Of what other writer can it be said that his life could not be written until his aunts had died?
We gotta wait for a couple of the aunts to die before he
That's when he'll...
Everybody's
his life will
asking
be
me when I'm
over.
gonna come out with my new stuff.
Just talk to his aunts.
Wait till my aunts die. Wait, I'll let a lot of the stuff won't come out until they're dead.
There are certain social types whom Saki cooks and serves for us as absolutely as perfect asparagus and hollandaise. Even their names are genius, as every critic has noted. Sir James Beanquest. These are going to be really good. There's like so many, and they're all really cool. Mrs. Thropplestance.
Yes.
Ada Spellvexit. Miss Quabarl, Clovis Sangrail, Comus Bassington, Blanche Bavel, Hortensia Bavel. Can you resist the desire to be introduced to these? Can you? I want to meet them so
I
bad.
want to meet Hortensia Bavel. So
What about
bad.
Clovis, Playboy of the Weekend World? I have always supposed to be so called because he was... I have... always supposed to be so called because he was so appallingly frank. Saki writes so lightly that you might hardly notice how beautifully also. And here and there, beneath so much enchanting play upon words, you will be startled and embarrassed by play upon hearts. Let me repeat what I once put into the mouth of the old Mandarin, in a pseudo-Chinese translation. There is something specially Chinese in Saki's Tory humor. He has the claw of the demon cat beneath his brilliant robe, suavest comedians, silkiest satirist, smooth as a shave with a new razor blade. Wow.
Just a quick...
Good
For
intro.
those who don't know, that's Saki.
Pretty flattering.
Pretty great. Yeah, we love him. Okay, let me figure out what section this is. These ones are in. We got two we'll try to get to, and then, we'll see where we're at. Okay, so this is The Hounds of Fate, which is on 215. Let me see what section that is. So 215 is The Chronicles of Clovis. So we get a little Clovis here.
Okay, here's Clovis.
We're skipping a lot of the early Clovis.
The Weekend Warrior or something.
Yeah, he's the Playboy of the Western world.
Playboy
or
of the
something.
Weekend.
Yeah. Okay. This is The Hounds of Fate. In the fading light of a close, dull autumn afternoon, Martin Stoner plodded his way along muddy lanes and rat-seamed cart tracks that led he knew not exactly whither. Somewhere in front of him he fancied lay the sea, and towards the sea his footsteps seemed persistently turning. Why he was struggling wearily forward to that goal he could scarcely have explained unless he was possessed by the same instinct that turns a hard-pressed stag cliffward in its last extremity. In this case, the Hounds of Fate were certainly pressing him with unrelenting insistence. Hunger, fatigue, and despairing hopelessness had numbed his brain, and he could scarcely summon sufficient energy to wonder what underlying impulse was driving him onward. Stoner was one of those unfortunate individuals who seemed to have tried everything. A natural slothfulness and improvidence had always intervened to blight any chance of even moderate success, and now he was at the end of his tether. And
his name is Stoner?
Yeah,
This is his
name is
description?
Stoner, yeah. His name's Martin Stoner.
Interesting name with the description given.
And there was nothing more to try. Desperation had not awakened in him any dormant reserve of energy. On the contrary, a mental torpor grew up around the crisis of his fortunes. With the clothes he stood up in, a halfpenny in his pocket, and no single friend or acquaintance to turn to, with no prospect either of a bed for the night or a meal for the morrow, Martin Stoner trudged stolidly forward. Between moist hedgerows and between dripping trees, his mind almost a blank, except that he was subconsciously aware that somewhere in front of him lay the sea. Another consciousness obtruded itself now and then, the knowledge that he was miserably hungry. Presently, he came to a halt by an open gate that led into a spacious and rather neglected farm garden. There was little sign of life about, and the farmhouse at the further end of the garden looked chill and inhospitable.
Cool.
Oh, bro, this looks chill and inhospitable, bro. This is pretty chill and inhospitable here. I don't know about y'all.
It's cool. It's Stoner. He's just such the words he's using, the whole
Yeah, he
description
just
of him.
sucks. He has no friends.
He's no friends.
They were like, he has
no
friends.
success, no friends.
He's at the end of his tether.
And he finds this chill and inhospitable spot.
Yeah. The drizzling rain, however, was setting in, and Stoner thought here perhaps he might obtain a few minutes' shelter and buy a glass of milk with his last remaining coin. Very Legend of Zelda coded. He turned slowly and wearily into the garden and followed a narrow flagged path up to a side door. Before he had time to knock, the door opened and a bent, withered-looking old man stood aside in the doorway as though to let him pass in. "Could I come in out of the rain?" Stoner began, but the old man interrupted him. "Come in, Master Tom. I knew you would come back one of these days."
Cool.
Stoner lurched across the threshold and stood staring uncomprehendingly at the other. "Sit down while I put you out a bit of supper," said the old man, with quavering eagerness. Stoner's legs gave way from very weariness. Stoner's legs gave way from very weariness, and he sank inertly into the armchair that had been pushed up to him. In another minute, he was devouring the cold meat, cheese, and bread that had been placed on the table at his side. Dude, what if we had cold meat, cheese, and bread?
This guy's got a good layout for
I gotta get some cold meat, cheese, and bread.
Cold meat, cheese, and bread.
Hey, do y'all have cold meat, cheese, and bread?
It seems like a lair. Seems kind of like he's getting Hansel and Gretel'd a little.
Yeah.
Can't tell what's happening yet. But he seems
"You've
like...
little changed these 4 years," went on the old man, in a voice that sounded to Stoner as something in a dream, far away and inconsequent.
Is he mistaken him, or is he...
Yeah, he's mistaken.
Yeah.
But you'll find us a deal. You'll find us a deal changed. You will. There's no one about the place same as when you left. Not but me and your old aunt. I'll go and tell her that you'll come. She won't be seeing you, but she'll let you stay right enough. She always did say if you come back, you should stay, but she never set eyes on you or speak to you again.
She'd never confirm it's you, but she...
And she's so mad. She's so mad, though, I guess.
Yeah, I assume that's why.
The old man placed a mug of beer on the table in front of Stoner and then hobbled away down a long passage. The drizzle of rain had changed to a furious lashing downpour, which beat violently against the door and windows. The wanderer thought with a shudder of what the seashore must look like under this drenching rainfall. With night beating down on all sides, he finished the food and beer and sat numbly waiting for the return of his strange host. As the minutes ticked on by the grandfather clock in the corner, a new hope began to flicker and grow in the young man's mind. It was merely expansion of his former craving for food and a few minutes' rest, into a longing to find a night's shelter under this seemingly hospitable roof. A clattering of footsteps down the passage heralded the old farm servant's return. "The old missus won't see you, Master Tom, but she says you are to stay. 'Tis right enough, seeing the farm will be yours when she be put in the earth.
Well, he's got a
when
pretty...
she be put under earth.
Interesting.
I've had a fire lit in your room, Master Tom, and the maids has put fresh sheets on your bed. You'll find not changed up there. Maybe you've died and would like to go there now." Without a word, Martin Stoner rose heavily to his feet and followed his ministering angel along a passage, up a short, creaking stair, along another passage into a large room, lit with a cheerfully blazing fire.
It's hard to tell if he's said anything so far besides nod at everything the guy is saying. He's pretty chillaxed.
He just said, could I come in out of the rain?
True, that's what he said.
Yeah. That was when I got to do his voice.
And then he's Tom. And then...
No.
Or he thinks his,
The other guy was just like, oh shit, it's Tom.
Yeah.
Come on in, Tom.
Yeah. He didn't say that, but that's... He's just playing into this Tom character by saying nothing.
There was but little furniture, plain, old-fashioned, and good of its kind, a stuffed squirrel in a case, and a wall calendar of 4 years ago were about the only symptoms of decoration. But Stoner had eyes for little else than the bed, and could scarce wait to tear his clothes off him before rolling in a luxury of weariness into its comfortable depths. The hounds of fate seemed to have checked for a brief moment. Every time you see me, I'm a stoner. Every time you see me, I'm a stoner.
In the cold light of morning, Stoner laughed mirthlessly as he slowly realized the position in which he found himself. Perhaps he might snatch a bit of breakfast on the strength of his likeness to this other missing ne'er-do-well, and get safely away before anyone discovered the fraud that had been thrust onto him. In the room downstairs, he found the bent old man's...
Foist. Foisted on.
In... the fraud that had been foisted onto him.
Foisted upon him.
In the room downstairs, he found the bent old man ready with a dish of bacon and fried eggs for Master Tom's breakfast, while a hard-faced elderly maid brought in a teapot and poured him out a cup of tea. As he sat at the table, a small spaniel came up and made friendly advances.
Nice. Even the dog!
Even the dog's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that movie, The Majestic?
No.
With Jim Carrey?
No.
It was one of the first DVDs we held when we got a DVD player. So the plot of The Majestic is like... I think Jim Carrey's just like a regular guy in California.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like gets in a car wreck maybe on the like side of the ocean highway.
Yeah.
But then he like washes up on the shore of a town, and it's like there's a guy from that town who looked exactly like him who died in the war. And so he like starts hanging out with John Voight, who was that guy's dad. And they like open up a movie theater.
Whoa.
But there's like a statue of him in the town, maybe.
There's a statue of a guy
who looks
him.
exactly like Jim Carrey in the town.
And he's hanging out with the guy who lost his son that looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
That sounds really
It's like
therapeutic.
this.
Yeah,
Sort of like
that's
this.
cool.
Check out The Majestic from 2004. 2003's The Majestic.
That's
I
cool.
think John Voight might be in it.
"'Tis old Bowker's pup," explained the old man.
Bowker's pup?
Bowker's pup. Bowker's.
Oh, it's like possessive?
Yeah, possessive.
Oh, okay.
Whom the hard-faced maid had addressed as George. Oh. "'Tis old Bowker's pup," explained the old man, whom the hard-faced maid had addressed as George.
So we know the old man's name is...
Old man's name is George. "She was main fond of you. Never seemed the same after you went away to Australia." That's how they spelled Australia, is Australee.
Nice.
Australia.
Yeah, I don't... It's like a thing where he's definitely writing for them to have some kind of, like, maybe a country accent or something, but it's impenetrable to me as someone not from England.
I could do a southern one.
I was doing
That's
a kind of
easy,
a bit of a sort of a light...
She died about a year gone.
I was kind of doing like a prospector voice.
"'Tis her pup.
Is her...
"'Tis her pup." Stoner found it difficult to regret her decease. As a witness for identification, she would have left something to be desired. True. So he doesn't really care that she's dead. She's like, oh, that's beneficial for me.
Nice. He's hype.
"You'll go for a ride, Master Tom," was the next startling proposition that came from the old man. We've a nice little roan cob that goes well in a saddle. Old Billy is getting a bit up in years, and though her goes well still, but I'll have the little roan saddled and brought round to door.
Chapel?
Yes, Chapel Roan. Have the little Chapel Roan saddled and brought round to door. Is roan mean?
Yeah, it's a horse
Yeah, that
word.
makes
That's what's
sense.
so weird about Chapel Roan. It's like, I think it's sort of like a horse vibe. Yeah, it's steeplechasing.
Yeah.
Steeplechasing. I don't know, but also
Chaps.
the roan. Right. But I don't think anyone
Knows that.
most people haven't put that together that she has a horse name like Megan the Stallion.
Yeah.
But
Smart.
we know.
Pop name.
We know.
I've got no writing things, stammered the castaway, almost laughing as he looked down at his one suit of well-worn clothes. Master Tom, said the old man earnestly, almost with an offended air, all your things is just as you left them. A bit of airing before the fire and they'll be all right.
It's all fat guy stuff. It's like, you're so fat.
'Twill be a bit of a distraction, like a little riding and wild fowling now and again. You'll find this folk here around here has hard and bitter minds towards you. They hasn't forgotten nor forgiven.
Yeah, he did something so fucked up.
Yeah, everyone.
Whoever
loves
he's
to
pretending
see
to be
you.
did something so fucked up.
No one will come nigh you.
No
as
one will
you
be mad.
Best get what distraction you can with horse and dog. They good company too.
Yeah, the dogs don't care.
The dogs and the
The
horses.
dogs and the horses love you still, man.
Yeah, no
like
one else is
me.
mad for what you did to
But
the
I
town.
forgive you for what you did.
Old George hobbled away to give his orders, and Stoner, feeling more than ever like one in a dream, went upstairs to inspect Master Tom's wardrobe. A ride was one of the pleasures dearest to his heart, and there was some protection against immediate discovery of his imposture in the thought that none of Tom's aforetime companions were likely to favor him with a close inspection. As the interloper thrust himself into some tolerably well-fitted riding cords, he wondered vaguely what manner of misdeed the genuine Tom had committed to set the whole countryside against him. The thud of quick, eager hooves on damp earth cut short his speculations. The chapel roan cob had been brought up to the side door.
How do you spell cob? Let me look up.
C-O-B.
Let me look that up. Let me look up
C-O-B.
some-
I assume it's
cob.
like a...
It's a
like
horse
chair,
thing,
like a wagon is what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Like a horse
I
wagon,
think you're right.
just based on the
And then
context.
I'll look up roan.
Roan's gotta be just horses.
But I think
Or
it's a
something.
specific horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it's like a...
It's like a girl horse or something.
Cob. I forgot I was supposed to talk like a stoner for stoner.
Did he talk?
He said one thing, I
He's a
think.
surfer. Cob is a male swan.
Oh, he
A
did.
cob is a rounded mass, lump, or heap. A cob is a crudely struck old Spanish coin of irregular shape. A cob is a corn cob. A cob is a stocky, short-legged riding horse.
What's a scrub? Oh, there you go. Stocky.
Stocky, short-legged riding horse. Okay. And then roan. Roan means it's a girl, I bet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a short-legged riding horse. That's a girl.
That's
maybe.
a cob.
That's the cob. Yeah.
So
There's no cart.
yeah, it's just the horse.
It's just
the
the
roan cob
horse.
had been brought up to the side door.
But I'm still getting roan. Let me lock down roan.
Roan might be girl
That's
girl
my
version
guess,
of
but
this.
it could be like
But it sounds
under a year
equestrian
old or
specific.
something.
Yeah, maybe
you know
it's
what I
like
mean? There's
age-
weird shit like that
Age horse.
with all the ROA in. Yeah. Okay.
Like Chapel.
We got a lot. Having the base color as red, black, or brown muted and lightened by admixture of white hairs, a roan horse or a roan calf. Roan, an animal as horse with a roan coat, used of a red roan when unqualified. The color of a roan horse, a sheepskin tanned with sumac and colored and finished
It's
to
not really
imitate
color.
Morocco.
Color specific stuff.
So it's like the color of the horse, yeah. So there's like a calico or dappled is a type of horse.
Type of horse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dappled gray horse.
Yeah, so it's
Roan horse. It's
color
yeah,
specific horse word.
Yeah. It's having the base color muted and lightened by an admixture of white hairs.
Good question to ask someone who's a Chapel Rowan. It seems like a good thing to get someone on.
Yeah.
To be like,
You have no idea. You have no idea.
Yeah. Where was I? I'm trying to catch up to where I was. Oh, here I am. The roan cob had been brought up to the side door.
I picture it so vividly now.
Talk of beggars on horseback, thought Stoner to himself as he trotted rapidly along the muddy lanes where he had tramped yesterday as a down-at-heel outcast. And he flung reflection indolently aside and gave himself up to the pleasure of a smart canter along the turf-grown side of a level stretch of road. At an open gateway, he checked his pace to allow 2 carts to turn into a field. The lads driving the carts found time to give him a prolonged stare, and as he passed on, he heard an excited voice call out, "'Tis Tom Prike." "I knowed him at once. Showed hisself here again, is he?" Evidently, the likeness which had imposed at close quarters on a doddering old man was good enough to mislead younger eyes at a shorter distance. In the course of his ride, this does sound a lot like the movie, except he's like a bad guy.
Yeah, he killed someone. Yeah, I don't know.
In the course of his ride, he met with ample evidence to confirm the statement that local folk had neither forgotten nor forgiven the bygone crime which had come to him, as allegiancy from the absent Tom. Wait, you're telling me there's another rapper named Diddy? What's his deal?
You look just like him.
Scowling looks, mutterings, and nudgings greeted him whenever he chanced upon human beings. Bowker's pup.
Don't nudge me.
Bowker's pup, trotting placidly by his side, seemed the one element of friendliness in a hostile world. Yeah, it's his only friend. Everyone's so mean to him. As he dismounted at the side door, he caught a fleeting glimpse of a gaunt, elderly woman.
This is some of y'all with y'all's dogs. This is some of y'all.
It's just you and them against the world.
Yeah, it's because you have a bad personality.
Fleeting glimpse of a gaunt elderly woman peering at him from behind the curtain of an upper window. Evidently, this was his aunt by adoption. Over the ample midday meal that stood in readiness for him, Stoner was able to review the possibilities of his extraordinary situation. The real Tom, after 4 years of absence, might suddenly turn up at the farm, or a letter might come from him at any moment. Again, in the character of heir to the farm, the false Tom might be called on to sign documents, which would be an embarrassing predicament. Or a relative might arrive who would not imitate the aunt's attitude of aloofness. All these things would mean ignominious exposure. On the other hand, the alternative was the open sky and the muddy lanes that led down to the sea.
Yeah,
the farm offered him, at any rate, a temporary refuge from destitution.
They made this a movie. They should make the guy Craig Ferguson.
That would be awesome. Farming,
and then here's my guess for who should play the old guy and the lady.
Oh.
Craig Ferguson.
Okay. I like it. Sort of like a...
Norbit.
Yeah, sort of like a Norbit or just an Eddie Murphy
Medea.
movie. Or the other one, too. It's one where he's a robot.
Yeah.
That one.
Inside his head.
Yeah. The farm offered him, at any rate, a temporary refuge from destitution. Farming was one of the many things he had tried, and he would be able to do a certain amount of work in return for the hospitality to which he was so little entitled. Will you have cold pork for your supper?" asked the hard-faced maid as she cleared the table. "Or will you have it hotted up?" "Hot, with onions," said Stoner. It was the only time in his life that he had made a rapid decision. As he gave the order, he knew that he meant to stay.
He hates onions. Though.
Dude, I feel like Tom probably would never have ordered that.
Tom doesn't like onions. He likes it cold without onions.
Stoner kept rigidly to those portions of the house which seemed to have been allotted to him by a tacit treaty of delimitation. When he took part in the farm work, it was as one who worked under orders and never initiated them. Old George, the roan cob, and Bowker's pup were his sole companions in a world that was otherwise frostily silent and hostile. Of the mistress of the farm he saw nothing. Once, when he knew she had gone forth to church, he made a furtive visit to the farm parlor in an endeavor to glean some fragmentary knowledge of the young man whose place he had usurped and whose ill repute he had fastened on himself. There were many photographs hung on the wall, or stuck in the prim frames, but the likeness he sought for was not among them. At last, in an album thrust out of sight, he came across what he wanted. There was a whole series labeled Tom, a podgy child of 3,
Ugly as shit.
in a fantastic frock, an awkward boy of about 12 holding a cricket bat as though he loathed it, a rather good-looking youth of 18 with very smooth, evenly parted hair, and finally a young man with a somewhat surly daredevil expression.
He's gay.
At this last portrait, Stoner looked with particular interest. The likeness to himself was unmistakable.
Whoa.
So he's like one of 3 kids, do you think? Or has the 3 kids? I couldn't.
Those are him at different ages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hates the cricket bat. And
He's gay.
yeah, he's got a daredevil expression. From the lips of old George, who was garrulous enough on most subjects, he tried again and again to learn something of the nature of the offense which shut him off as a creature to be shunned and hated by his fellow men. What do folks around here say about me? It's been a while, he asked one day, as they were walking home from an outlying field. The old man shook his head. They be bitter again, you. Mortal bitter. 'Tis a sad business, a sad business.
Misery business.
And never could he be got to
It's
say
a
anything more
misery
enlightening.
business.
Yeah, he really
Is that
is
from
in
stuff besides Paramore?
a misery business. I don't know that I know of.
It seems like kind of Dickensian.
It does seem old.
Misery business.
On a
That'd be a
clear
good movie title.
misery business.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the name of the Craig Ferguson. You know.
Yeah.
On a clear, he would like that. On a clear, frosty evening,
Oh. The Paramore song.
a few days before the festival of Christmas, Stoner stood in a corner of the orchard.
Zane, we have a local festival coming up. It's called Christmas.
What's that?
You wouldn't know.
You guys
I know you
celebrate-
wouldn't know about that.
Must be a local festival you guys have. Stoner stood in a corner of the orchard, which commanded a wide view of the countryside. Here and there he could see the twinkling dots of lamp or candle glow, which told of human homes
Dots
where
of lamp.
the goodwill and jollity of the season held their sway. Behind him lay the grim, silent farmhouse where no one ever laughed, where even a quarrel would have seemed cheerful. As he turned to look at the long gray front of the gloom-shadowed building, a door opened and old George came hurriedly forth. Stoner heard his adopted name called in a tone of strained anxiety. So instantly, he knew that something untoward had happened.
I hate when untoward things happen.
And with a quick revulsion of outlook, his sanctuary became in his eyes a place of peace and contentment from which he dreaded to be driven. Master Tom, said the old man in a hoarse whisper, you
George.
must
We know his name's
slip
George.
away. Well,
Just kidding, yeah.
Master Tom, said the old George in a hoarse whisper, you must slip away quiet from here for a few days. Michael Lay is back in the village.
Michael Lay?
Michael Lay, spelled
spell Lay?
L-E-Y. You think it's Lee? I think it's
I
Lay.
like Lay. Because
And-
that's what's... Isn't that the Enron guy's name?
Ken Lay or something?
Kin Lay? Kenneth Lay?
Michael Lay is back in the village, and he swears to shoot you if he can come across you. He'll do it, too. There's murder in the look of him. Get away under cover of night. 'Tis only for a week or so. He won't be here longer. But, where am I supposed to go? Stammered Stoner, who had caught the infection of the old man's obvious terror. Oh, he's supposed to be scared when I said that. Go right along the coast to Punchford, and keep hid there. When Michael's safe gone, I'll ride the roan over to the Green Dragon at Punchford. When you see the cob stabled at the Green Dragon, 'tis a sign you may come back again.
Whoa.
But, began Stoner hesitantly, 'tis all right for
D&D
money.
situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Stay at the tavern. 'Tis all... Was it, yeah, Stoner gets cut off.
Just in. You skipped a page, yeah.
Yeah, but, began Stoner hesitantly, 'tis all right for money, said the other. The old missus agrees you'd best do as I say, and she's given me this. The old man produced 3 sovereigns and some odd silver. Stoner felt more of a cheat than ever as he stole away that night from the gate back of the farm, with the old woman's money in his pocket. Old George and Bowker's pup stood watching him a silent farewell from the yard. He stood scarcely fancy
Bring the pup.
that he would ever come back, and he felt a throb of compunction for those 2 humble friends who would wait wistfully for his return. Someday, perhaps, the real Tom would come back, and there would be wild wonderment among those simple farm folk as to identify of the shadowy guest they had harbored under their roof. For his own fate, he felt no immediate anxiety. 3 pounds goes little way in the world when there is nothing behind it, but a man who has counted his exchequer. Exchequer. What does it mean?
Exchequer.
A man who has counted his exchequer in pennies, it seems, a good starting point.
I think the exchequer is some kind of bank thing.
That makes sense.
But before,
like a checkbook or some sort
something
of
like that, yeah.
account. Fortune had done him a whimsically kind
I think
turn.
the bank teller's kind of the exchequer.
Oh.
But I don't know how you would count that.
Fortune had done him a whimsically kind turn when last he trod these lanes as a hopeless adventurer, and there might yet be a chance of his finding some work and further a fresh start. As he got further from the farm, his spirits rose higher. There was a sense of relief in regaining once more his lost identity and ceasing to be the uneasy ghost of another. He scarcely bothered to speculate about the implacable enemy who had dropped from nowhere into his life, since that life was now behind him. One unreal item the more made little difference. That was kind of weird, but for the first time for many months he began to hum a careless, light-hearted refrain. Then there stepped out from the shadow an overhanging oak tree a man with a gun.
Michael Lay.
Not confirmed yet. Just a man with a gun.
Oh, shit.
There was no need to wonder who he might be. Never mind. The moonlight falling on his white-set face revealed a glare of human hate such as Stoner in the ups and downs of his wanderings had never seen before. He sprang aside in a wild effort to break through the hedge that bordered the lane, but the tough branches held him fast. The hounds of fate had waited for him in those narrow lanes, and this time they were not to be denied. Wow.
Like the end.
It ends and you're like, did he get away?
Bro, the hounds of fate
Cliffhanger.
got him, I think, man.
It sounds like Michael Lay's laid some heavy
Yeah, Michael Lay got him for sure.
heavy justice on him.
Big justice.
Michael Lay.
He's gonna bring the boom. Okay, the next one's called Quail Seed. It's on 508. Let me see what section that is. 508. 508's from Toys of Peace. The Toys of Peace. So, I don't know what that means.
The Toys of Peace.
The Toys of Peace, yeah. The outlook is not encouraging for us smaller businesses, said Mr. Skarek to the artist and his sister, who had taken rooms over his suburban grocery store. These big concerns are offering all sorts of attractions to the shopping public, which we couldn't afford to imitate, even on a small scale. Reading rooms and playrooms and gramophones and heaven knows what. People don't care to buy half a pound of sugar nowadays unless they can listen to Harry Lauder and have the latest Australian cricket scores ticked off before their eyes. With the big Christmas stock we've got in, we ought to keep half a dozen assistants hard at work. But as it is, my nephew Jimmy and myself can pretty well attend to it ourselves. It's a nice stock of goods, too. If I could only run it off in a few weeks' time, but there's no chance of that, not unless the London line was to get snowed up for a fortnight before Christmas. I did have a sort of idea of engaging Miss Lufcombe to give recitations during afternoons. She made a great hit at the post office entertainment with her rendering of Little Beatrice's Resolve. Anything less likely to make your shop a fashionable shopping center, I can't imagine, said the artist, with a very genuine shudder. Anything less likely to make your shop a fashionable...
So this owner of a shop is talking to an artist?
To an artist.
About making
and
his
sister,
shop?
Who had taken rooms over his suburban grocery store.
Okay.
I'm just rereading it.
No, yeah,
I was lost as well.
I get it.
He's
now.
Mr. Skarek.
The guy who owns the grocery store who's letting them stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anything less likely to make your shop a fashionable shopping center, I can't imagine, said the artist with a very genuine shudder. If I were trying to decide between the merits of Carlsbad plums and confected figs as a winter dessert, It would infuriate me to have my train of thought entangled with little Beatrice's resolve to be an angel of light or a Girl Scout, no? He continued, the desire to get something thrown in for nothing is a ruling passion with the feminine shopper, but you can't afford to pander effectively to it. Why not appeal to another instinct which dominates not only the woman shopper, but the male shopper, in fact, the entire human race?
Whoa.
What is that instinct, said the grocer.
Sort of a madman vibe right now from this artist.
And then there's like a page break.
Whoa.
Mrs. Grayes and Miss Fritton had missed the 2.18 to town, and as there was not another train till 3:12, I guess they just do the time like that. They missed the 2:18 to town and there was not another train till 3:12. They thought that they might as well make their grocery purchases at Scarrick's. It would not be sensational, they agreed, but it would still be shopping.
Right. It's not sensational.
You want to hit it?
Scarrick's is not a sensational place.
But that they were like, because they're like, that's what the guy was saying is everybody's fucking says it's shit. Because you can't listen to records and stuff.
Okay.
Because you can't go to the gramophone room.
For some minutes, they had the shop almost to themselves, as far as customers were concerned. But while they were debating the respective virtues and blemishes of two competing brands of anchovy paste, they were startled by an order given across the counter for 6 pomegranates and a packet of quail seeds. Neither commodity was in general demand in that neighborhood. Equally unusual was the style and appearance of the customer, about 16 years old, with dark olive skin, large dusky eyes, and thick, low-growing blue-black hair. He might have made his living as an artist model. As a matter of fact, he did.
Whoa.
Okay, so they kind of got a plant going.
Yeah.
They kind of put a plant...
They have a shill guy, yeah.
What if we have a plant in the store that asks...
We have a hot teen.
A hot teen comes in and asks... for 6 pomegranates and a packet of quail seeds. And he does this really loudly, and everyone hears it. The bowl of beaten brass that he produced for the reception of his purchases was distinctively the most astonishing variation on the string bag or marketing basket of suburban civilization that his fellow shoppers had ever seen. He has a really cool tote bag type thing. He's like...
Right, does it have his money in it, or he's going to put it in there?
It's a bowl of beaten brass, which I think is money, right? And he produced...
I don't know.
Because he produced it for the reception of his purchases.
For the reception.
And it's a variation on the string bag or marketing basket of suburban civilization that his fellow shoppers
No,
have
that's
ever seen.
you're right. It's a tote bag.
He has his own little tote bag.
Yeah.
He threw a gold piece, apparently of some exotic currency, across the counter and did not seem disposed to wait for any change that might be forthcoming. Cool. He's really cool. They've got
he has like magic coins.
They've got like a greaser in the store.
They have like a magical foreign greaser.
It's really cool that he has blue and black hair that is slick. That's or like I don't know if it was.
I think
slick,
that's just what they. I think you kind of have blue black hair.
I guess so. Yeah.
Unless it's too brown.
But he has dark olive skin, dusky eyes, thick, low-growing blue and
dusky
black hair.
eyes. I don't know what dusky eyes means.
The wine and figs were not
Does
paid
JD
for.
Vance have dusky eyes?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got dusky hair. The wine and figs were not paid for yesterday, he said. Keep what is over of the money for our future purchases. A very strange-looking boy, said Mrs. Grayes interrogatively to the grocer as soon as the customer had left.
Pretty weird guy.
A foreigner, I believe, said Mrs. Scarrick. Oh, this is kind of an older lady. A foreigner, I believe, said Mrs. Scarrick with a shortness that was entirely out of keeping with his... Oh, it's Mr. Scarrick. Okay. With a shortness... Okay, so Mr. Scarrick said a foreigner, I believe. He's, is with a shortness that is entirely out of keeping of his usual communicative manner.
He's usually talking a lot.
Well, I wish for £1.50 of the best coffee you have, said an authoritative... Oh, I wish for £1.50 of the best coffee you have, said an authoritative voice a moment or two later. The speaker was a tall, authoritative-looking man of rather outlandish aspect, remarkable among other things for a full black beard, worn in a style more in vogue in early Assyria than in a London suburb of the present day.
Whoa. He's got the Keemstar beard.
Yeah, he's got the Drake beard.
He's got like the
got a
big
fade.
pointy. He has a big pointy
yeah.
gnome beard.
Yeah, he's a cool beard. Has a dark-faced boy been here buying pomegranates? He asked suddenly as the coffee was being weighed out to him. The two ladies almost jumped on hearing the grocer reply with an unblushing negative.
No.
We have a few pomegranates in stock, he continued, but there has been no demand for them. My servant will fetch the coffee as usual, said the purchaser, producing a coin from a wonderful metalwork purse. As an apparent afterthought, he fired out the question, have you perhaps any quail seed? No, said the grocer without hesitation. We don't stock it. What will he deny next? Said Mrs. Grays under her breath. What made it seem so much worse was the fact that Mr. Sarek had quite recently presided at a lecture on Savonarola.
Sarek is Spock's brother.
Oh, Sarek. Yeah, Sarek. I remember.
I was like, I know Sarek.
Mr.
I was
Sarek.
like, wait, Sarek is it?
Scarek. Turning up the deep astrachan collar of his long coat. So Mr. Scarrick gave a lecture on Savonarola. I think we're supposed to know what that is.
What is it?
Savonarola. You want to look it up?
What is it? How do you spell it?
Savanor.
It's one word. How does it capitalize?
It's one word capitalized, though.
Look at
Yeah.
Savonarola. Where is it?
It's on here somewhere. Savonarola, somewhere there.
Nice.
Savonarola.
Oh.
He gave a lecture on Savonarola.
Okay.
I assume that has to do with quail seed or something. Because she's like, what will he deny next?
Okay, so Savoy. Savo.
Savona.
Yeah, that's not a word.
Savonarola.
Should I look it up? In the real internet?
Naming that dictionary.
Savonarola. Okay, Giacomo Savonarola. He's okay. An ascetic Dominican friar from Ferrara. He was from 1498.
Interesting.
He was burned at the stake.
Maybe he was a liar or something?
He seems cool. He denounced clerical corruption, despotic rule, and the exploitation of the poor.
Well, it's supposed
So
to
he's goated. So Savonarola's goated.
And she's saying what made it so much worse was that Mr. Sarek had recently presided on a lecture. So she's kind of like...
That's because
It's weird.
It's about how he's so cool.
Yeah.
Pure and like a saint. He gave a lecture about a saint. And
Right.
He's now lying.
And now he's lying. That's what I'm. That's what I was wondering.
We got it.
Turning up the deep astrachan collar.
What is that word?
Astrachan.
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 How is it? Wait.
Starts with an A.
Let me look it up now, I guess.
Astrachan.
Astro?
Astra.
Okay.
With an A at the end. Astra and then Chan, like 4chan. Or Chris Chan. And Astra, like Ad Astra.
I'm in the ass section, okay.
The 4chan for Ad Astra. Astrachan.
Oh, Astrakhan.
Oh, that makes sense.
Is it Khan?
No, it's Astrachan.
But maybe it's just like a different
alternate
spelling.
yeah.
Okay. Often capitalized. Karakul of Russian origin. A cloth with a usually wool curled and looped pile resembling karakul. Okay,
So
now
he's
I gotta
got
look up karakul.
Okay, but he's got a fancy collar. He's kind of got like.
I'm looking up karakul really quick. Let me just get this karakul.
Because then we'll know what the collar on his long coat is, and we do. It would help.
I just want to know about the
visualize
karakul
it.
now.
To visualize what
K-A-
kind of cloth.
K-A-R.
The astrachan collar
The K section is very short in the dictionary.
of his long
You'd think
coat.
the K section would be long. It's not. Karakul. It's a village in Uzbekistan. Any of a breed of hardy fat-tailed sheep from Uzbekistan with a narrow body and coarse, wiry fur. The tightly curled, glossy coat of a newborn lamb of a karakul valued as fur. So it's got real curly.
curly,
I think
furry,
it's kind of like
collar.
Like that stuff the Jinnah is made of. Like, what's that? You know what I'm talking about? It's
No,
like weird
Jinnah cap.
fur that's like, it's like woolly. It's just like a weird wool.
Sounds right.
You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not exactly, not physically, if I like couldn't picture it.
Like those little furry hats. Like a little furry hat you wear if you're in Afghanistan or something.
Okay, yeah. Sure. Or like
You know
Russia.
that one that's like kind of curly furry?
Do Russian people wear them?
Sometimes. Theirs is like big.
Yeah, I know those. Yeah, okay. Kind of like a
But
woolly,
that's more like actual fur. This is like lamb's wool. You know what I mean?
Kinda. Anyways, turning up the deep astrakhan collar of his long coat.
Right.
Long,
He has a furry
curly
collar on.
collar. The stranger swept
not
out of the
long.
shop. Well, his long, sorry. The coat's long, not the collar. The stranger swept out of the shop with the air, as Miss Fritten afterwards described it, of a satrap proroguer. Oh, God, there's so many words that we're not going to know. The stranger swept out of the shop with the air, as Miss Fritten afterwards described it, of a satrap proroguing a sand...
Piroing.
Piroing, P-R-O...
It's like a boat.
Piroing a sand hedron.
What's a boat?
Sure. Whether such a pleasant function ever fell to a satrap's lot, she was not quite certain, but the simple, faithfully conveyed her meaning to a large circle of acquaintances.
S-A-T.
S-A-T-R-A-P.
I think that's just a foreign guy driving some foreign boat.
A sandadrim. Yeah, that sounds
That's
right.
my guess.
Contextually, that sounds pretty right. She described it as a foreign dude driving a foreign boat. Whether such a pleasant function ever fell to a satrap's lot she was not quite certain, but the simile faithfully conveyed her meaning.
The governor of a province in ancient Persia.
Okay. She made this simile. She's comparing him to this Persian guy.
A subordinate official. Henchman.
Okay, I know Persia's going to come up later, so that's good that we got that. That's good.
Satrap. And he has that furry collar on that all the guys in Central Asia got.
That you're talking about from Afghanistan and stuff. And yeah.
Sort of a Central Asian mountain kind of goat skin vibe.
Yeah, and she's just describing it like that to her friends, to her large circle of acquaintances, so they know. Don't let's bother about the 312. I was in the 312. Don't let bother about the 312.
312.
312.
It's the train.
Yeah,
I was
that makes
saying
sense.
that earlier.
You said 312.
Because it just says dot, there's not a colon.
Yeah, that's why it looks like 312. But 312. Said Mrs. Grays, let's go and talk this over at Laura Lipping's. It's her day. When the dark-faced boy arrived at the shop next day with his brass marketing bowl, there was quite a fair gathering of customers, most of whom seemed to be spinning out their purchasing operations with the air of people who had very little to do with their time. In a voice that was heard all over the shop, perhaps because everybody was intently listening, he asked for a pound of honey and a packet of quail seeds. More quail seed? Said Mrs. Fritten. Those quails must be voracious, or else it isn't a quail seed at all. I believe it's opium, and the bearded man is a detective, said Mrs. Grace brilliantly. I don't, said Laura Lipping. I'm sure it's something to do with the Portuguese throne. More likely to be a Persian intrigue on behalf of the ex-Shah, said Miss Fritten. The bearded man belongs to the government party. The quail seed is a countersign, of course. Persia is almost next door to Palestine, and quails come into the Old Testament, you know. Only as a miracle, said her well-informed younger sister. I've thought all along it was part of a love intrigue. The boy who had so much interest and speculation centered on him was on the point of departing with his purchases.
Lots of questions about
when
these
he was
mysterious
waylaid
shoppers in the Deem store.
Tons of shoppers in the
mysterious
store.
shoppers were seen inside the store recently.
Tons of weird shoppers in the Deem store. A lot of people are asking questions.
There's a lot of
People
questions.
think the CIA's involved. People think that maybe it's code for sure. He can't possibly be asking for quail
These
seed.
prices on the vapes are insane. It doesn't make any sense.
He comes in, asks for an Escobar. We know the shopkeeper has
He
Escobars.
gives him a whole ingot of gold.
The shopkeeper keeps saying he's out of puff bars.
But we see them behind him.
But they're right behind him, and we know there's some sort of code happening. Puff bar means... The boy who had so much interest and speculation centered on him was on the point of departing with his purchases when he was waylaid by Jimmy, the nephew apprentice,
Dang.
who, from his post at the
All right,
cheese
I
and
looked up
bacon...
the Piro word.
Yeah.
It's
Perot.
boat. And then what's hedron? How do you spell the hedron word?
Sanhedrin. S-A-N, capital S, H-E-D-R-I-N.
Oh, Sanhedrin. I know what that is.
Okay. I just kept pronouncing it really weird because I've never seen it. Sanhedrin with an M?
The Sanhedrin?
You keep saying it with an N, but it has
It's
an
an M?
Yeah, it's M at the end.
Oh, I don't know that. Sanhedrin with an N is like the Jewish court in Jesus' time. It's called the Sanhedrin.
Well, this is
But this is Sanhedrin.
growing a Sanhedrin.
Yeah, alright.
Not even
Let me
like
get it.
D-R-U-M. S-A-N, capital S, H-E-D-R-I-N.
It's
per
totally
rowing.
just going to be a weird boat.
It's going to be a boat for sure.
I want to know where, though. I bet we'll know where they have this weird boat.
Maybe it's Persian. Maybe it's
That would
Persian
be
like
that
Satrap.
would be great. That would be.
They all seem to think he's Persian. He seems like we were talking about Serpico earlier. It seems
Yeah.
like he's got a Serpico vibe,
He
but
is sort of a Serpico.
for marketing.
Mysterious.
He's being used as an actor for marketing.
He's like a crisis actor.
Yeah.
Sanhedrin. Wait, so how do you spell it?
Sanhedrim.
Right.
Might be an alternate
Only
spelling.
Sanhedrin is.
Right. I don't know then.
Okay, wait. Let me read what Sanhedrin is. Just the Supreme Council and Tribunal of the Jews during post-exilic times,
Yeah, you killed that.
headed by a high priest and having religious, civil, and criminal jurisdiction.
Yeah, even when you look up Sanhedrin, it only comes up as Sanhedrin.
Yeah, it's so close.
Wow.
We'll never know.
It's just a council according to the BibleStudyTools.com.
I keep looking it up in the Bible Study Tools app, and nothing's really coming up besides.
Oh, if you on Wikipedia, I found a drawing of a Sanhedrin, and it looks like this, and it's just.
Oh.
But that's on the Star Wars wiki.
Yeah. Put it in quotes when you search it.
I did look it up in
Oh.
quotes, and it still was.
It's just got that
That was just came up for Google Images.
weird.
Sanhedrin. How odd. Yeah, it only comes up
We're
with
gonna need a bigger
Digimon
dictionary.
Sanhedrin.
We're gonna need a bigger dictionary. It would for sure be in a bigger dictionary.
We're gonna need a bigger dictionary.
If only this was more than just Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary 10th edition. If it was
I mean,
a
this,
later edition,
according
or,
to the Wikipedia, the Sanhedrin ship was the mode of transportation used by the warrior class of the Yangti monks.
So, yeah.
So that's
It
good to
seems
know.
like it's like, how can we not find out what this is?
That's
right now?
crazy.
It's crazy that this word is in the book, and then that these other people have made science fiction clearly based on some other ship from history that's called this.
And we can't
We
find
still
any
can't find
proof
it.
of the actual
We still can't
ship.
find it.
That's crazy.
It's unacceptable.
Well, there's a book called Jesus Before the Sanhedrin, but that sounds like it's
Just
the
a
same
misspelling
thing.
Of the, yeah, that's an N though.
No, this is an M.
Oh, but look at
That one is
Oh,
an
that
M
is
too.
M too,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
both M.
maybe that's just how Latin works sometimes.
Anyways,
Sorry.
only as a miracle and what? Let me see. So he met Jimmy, the nephew apprentice, who from his post at the okay. So this is cool.
Cheese. Yeah, the cheese and
The cheese and bacon counter. It's sort of like a Costco vibe.
oh
or
yeah, like the
a
meat section.
Meat section, yeah.
He's at the meat
He
section.
was waylaid by Jimmy, which is also a really funny name.
Yeah, you're like, it's so weird because it's like a lot of the stuff you're like, okay, I can't tell what year this is. It could be like medieval times, but also
Well,
you're
Jimmy,
like,
the nephew apprentice, who from his post at the cheese and bacon counter commanded a good view of the street. We have some very fine Jaffa oranges, he said hurriedly, pointing to a corner where they were stored, behind a high rampart of biscuit tins.
Jaffa Gate in Jerusalem.
There was evidently more in the remark than met the ear. The boy flew at the oranges with the enthusiasm of a ferret finding a rabbit family at home after a long day of fruitless subterranean research. Almost at the same moment, the bearded stranger stalked into the shop and flung an order for a pound of dates and a tin of the best Smyrna halva across the counter.
Hulva?
I know halva. Halva.
What's Hulva?
It's like a Indian sweet. It's like a sweet little dish. It's like a little treat, and it's really sweet. It's delicious.
Is it clear or like opaque?
It's like opaque white. It's like I'll show you what a halva looks like. It's delicious. It's like this. They're kind of like pistachio. You wouldn't eat one because it's got nuts in it, but it's like very nutty.
Are they all round like that usually?
You can get them in whatever form. You can have it.
Okay,
whatever.
yeah.
It's kind of like usually I get them in like bricks. They're sort of like bricks of it. Yeah. So he's asking for some halva. The most adventurous housewife in the locality had never heard of halva. But Mr. Skerrick was apparently able to produce the best Smyrna. What is it? Smyrna,
I think.
Okay.
I was just thinking about Smyrna earlier.
Smyrna. Sounds like a rapper when I say.
Oh, that is a good rapper name.
Produced the best.
Bobby Shmurda.
Bobby Shmurda. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Bobby Shmurda. This is my guy, Bobby Shmurda.
The breath. He was.
I wonder how you say that word.
None of the adventurous housewives knew of halva, except me. And Mr. Skerrick was apparently able to produce the best Smyrna variety of it without a moment's hesitation.
Is Jaffa with an F?
Jaffa's Jaffa. Yeah.
I think that's just an Israel something.
Oh, wow. Miss Fritton's about to excitedly say, "We must be living in Arabian Nights." Hush! Shh! Hush!
It's about
Listen.
how fun it is to have foreign neighbors.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
grocery store.
So far, it's pretty cool that there's just
this is like
two
Sugarland, kind of Sugarland vibes.
But this is how they're getting people interested in the
It's
store.
just having cool foreign guys be at the store,
Hush!
buying cool stuff.
Listen, beseeched Mrs. Grays. Has the dark-faced boy of whom I spoke yesterday been here today? Asked the stranger. We've had rather more people than usual in the shop today, said Mr. Skerrick, but I can't recall a boy such as you describe. Mrs. Grays and Miss Fritton looked round triumphantly at their friends. It was, of course, deplorable that anyone should treat the truth as an article temporarily and excusably out of stock, but they felt gratified that the vivid accounts they had given to Mr. Skerrick's traffic in falsehoods should receive confirmation at first hand. I shall never again be able to believe what he tells me about the absence of coloring matter in the jam, whispered an aunt of Mrs. Gray's tragically. So she's like, he's been lying to me the whole time.
He's been lying to me the whole time about the coloring.
I knew there was coloring matter in this jam. I knew there was Red 40 in that, and he lied to me the whole time. The mysterious stranger took his departure. Laura Lipping distinctively saw a snarl of baffled rage reveal itself behind his heavy mustache, an upturned astrakhan collar. After a cautious interval, the seeker after oranges emerged from behind the biscuit tins, having apparently failed to find any individual orange that satisfied his requirements. He, too, took his departure, and the shop was slowly emptied of its parcel and gossip-laden customers. Yes, laden. It was Emily Yorling's day, and most of the shoppers made their way to her drawing room. Does that mean it's her birthday?
I think it might be a thing where it's like, if you have a tea party club or some shit, like
right.
A different person hosts.
And it's called to go direct from a shopping expedition to a tea party was what was known locally as living in a whirl.
We've all been there.
We've all been crazy like that. We've all had our college.
We could all be so lucky to live in a whirl.
Live in a whirl, go from a shopping expedition to a tea party, all in one swift move. Yeah. 2 extra assistants had been engaged for the following afternoon, and their service were in brisk demand. The shop was crowded. People bought and never seemed to get to the end of their lists. People are just really interested in these 2 Arab guys.
Yeah, they're really these cool.
Everyone from town is coming to see these 2 Arab guys.
Bro, I gotta take y'all to West Houston, bro. We got some spots to hit.
It's called Lankamex. It's a Sri Lankan Mexican smoke shop convenience store restaurant. And it's really good.
Only black guys come there.
Mr. Sarek had never so little difficulty in Mr. Sarek had never had so little difficulty persuading.
Mr. Sulu.
Mr. Sulu had never had so little difficulty in persuading customers to embark on new experiences in grocery wares. Even those women whose purchases were of modest
It's
proportions
opening everybody up to be more adventurous.
dawdled
I'm
over
glad,
them as though they had brutal, drunken husbands to go home to.
Fuck.
That's a really dark way of saying that everyone was having fun in the store.
He's like kind of a catty gay guy sometimes.
Yeah, that
He's
makes
just
sense.
like super dark.
The afternoon had dragged uneventfully on, and there was a distinct buzz of unpent excitement when a dark-eyed boy carrying a brass bowl entered the shop. This would be cool if, like, on a sitcom, a character showed up and it was just a Middle Eastern boy. Whereas, like, it was just like, whoa, what?
He's here! He's back! It's him. Yeah, this would be a good Deep Space Nine episode.
Yeah,
like Quark is trying to drum up business.
This is solid.
And like someone's there, and they're like dressed in a weird outfit. They're not really an alien like that.
The excitement seemed to have communicated itself to Mr. Scarrick. Abruptly deserting a lady who was making insincere inquiries about the home life of the Bombay duck, he intercepted the newcomer on his way to the accustomed counter and informed him, amid a death-like hush, that he had run out of quail seed. It's funny that he cuts off this lady who's, like, asking about the Bombay duck.
Yeah, about the home life of the
Everyone's
Bombay duck.
trying to be so, like, cultured right now.
Yeah, and they're like, did he have...
Do you know anything about the Bombay
Did he get to
duck?
walk around? Did he get to eat grass and stuff?
There was a
Or
lady
he in a
asking
cage?
about Moo Dang at the store.
What does he do all day?
The boy looked nervously around the shop and turned hesitatingly to go. He was again intercepted, this time by the nephew, who darted out from behind his counter and said something about a better line of oranges. The boy's hesitation vanished. He almost scuttled into the obscurity of the orange corner. Every good store has an orange corner. There was an expectant return of public attention towards the door, and the tall
Orange
bearded...
Corner's a good name for... They should change Orange
Market to Orange Corner. That'd be good.
That's got a good ring to
good
it.
supermarket store, little grocery
Orange
store,
Corner.
bodega.
Welcome to Orange Corner.
There was an expectant
So
turn.
hard to say for a foreign guy.
Orange
The hardest thing for a
Corner.
foreign guy to say.
Orange Corner.
Welcome to Orange
Welcome
Corner.
to Orange Corner. There was an expectant turn of public attention towards the door, and the tall bearded stranger made a really effective entrance. The aunt of Mrs. Grays declared afterwards that she'd found herself subconsciously repeating, "The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold," under her breath, and she was generally believed.
The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold.
Do you ever say that when you see me?
Yeah.
Do you ever see me come into the room and you're like, "Oh, the Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold"? The newcomer, too, was stopped before he reached the counter, but not by Mr. Scarrick or his assistant. A heavily veiled lady, whom no one had hitherto noticed, rose languidly from a seat and greeted him in a clear, penetrating voice. "Your Excellency does his shopping himself?" she said.
This would be a good Wes Anderson.
"I order the things myself," he explained. "I find it difficult to make my servants understand." So he is like, do you think he's the ex-Shah? You think she was right about that? It seems.
There's still a Shah. In 1909, there still is a Shah.
Yeah, I know, but he could just be one of the former
He's
ones.
a former Shah.
He could have quit
Or
or
Raj.
been disposed.
Former Raj.
Yeah, they said Shah, but it could
Right,
be Raj.
'cause he's
Yeah.
Persian. All right, yeah. He's Persian.
In a lower but still perfectly
Lower
audible voice, that
A Sirtat. What was Satrap?
Sultan. Oh, yes,
We learned that word.
Satrap,
We learned
yeah.
Satrap. I think he's a satrap.
In a lower but still perfectly audible voice, the veiled lady gave him a piece of I can't
It's
veal.
really funny to say.
Because veal is a word. The veiled lady gave him a piece of casual information. "They have some excellent Jaffa oranges here." Then, with a tinkling laugh, she passed out of the shop. The man glared all around the shop, then fixing his eyes instinctively on the barrier of biscuit tins, demanded loudly of the grocer, "You have, perhaps, some good Jaffa oranges?" Everyone expected an instant denial on the part of Mr. Scarrick of any such possession. Before he could answer, however, the boy had broken forth from his sanctuary. Holding his empty brass bowl before him, he passed out into the street. His face was described afterwards as masked with studied indifference, overspread with ghastly pallor, and blazing with defiance.
That's what you look like.
Some
That's
said
you,
that
dude.
his teeth
That's
chattered.
what you look like.
Please. Some said that his teeth chattered. Others that he went out whistling the Persian national hymn.
Bro, did you hear that? Bro, that was the Persian national hymn.
This guy's cool. This boy is so cool.
Yeah.
There was
Mysterious boy.
The mysterious boy is so cool, and this guy, he just walked out with indifference. He just
Yeah.
walked out the store while the guy is in there, not giving a shit. Some said that his teeth chattered, others that he went out whistling. Oh, yeah. There was no mistaking, however, the effect produced by the encounter on the man who had seemed to force it. If a rabid dog or a rattlesnake had suddenly thrust its companionship on him, he could scarcely have displayed a greater access of terror. His air of authority and assertiveness had gone. His masterful stride had given way to a furtive pacing to and fro, and as an animal seeking an outlet for escape. In a dazed, perfunctory manner, always with his eyes turning to watch the shop entrance, he gave a few random orders, which the grocer made a show of entering in his book. Now and then he walked out into the street, looked anxiously in all directions, and hurried back to keep up his pretense of shopping. From one of these sorties, he did not return. He had dashed away into the dusk, and neither he nor the dark-faced boy nor the veiled lady were seen again by the expectant crowds that continued to throng the Scarrick establishment for days to come. "I can never thank you and your sister sufficiently," said the grocer. "We enjoyed the fun of it," said the artist modestly. "And as for the model, it was a welcome variation on posing for hours for The Lost Hylas." It's got to be like a painting, I
What
think.
is it? How do you spell it? Hylas?
Hylas, The Lost Hylas.
I'll look it
It
up.
sounds like a painting, or, he's
But
posing
yeah, he's
for
painting
it.
that, but we'll know what Hylas is.
Yeah.
I bet it's a boy. But,
Yeah, there's only one line left of the story.
Okay, what is it?
"At any rate," said the grocer, "I insist on paying for the hire of the Blackbeard."
Nice.
I thought it was implied that they
The
hired the
hire.
Blackbeard too, but
Of the Blackbeard. I thought the Blackbeard was just the artist.
no, the artist is none of those guys.
Okay.
The artist got the boy who's a model,
Yeah.
and then he got the Blackbeard to be the guy who's mad about the boy.
Yeah. But I thought there was that girl. I thought it was the
And
artist,
the veiled
the
lady,
girl.
yeah.
I thought the artist and the girl were the guy.
Well, that was her sister. Oh.
Nah, he just got a beard though. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe he bought a black beard. You think
That's what I was
he
thinking.
said?
Maybe
Because we said the hire of the black beard.
But yeah, it could go either way. I get what you're. That might be right.
So they just made this artist look Arab because he put on a black beard, and then
Yeah, it might have been the artist's whole plan.
And his sister's veiled.
What's Hylas? How do you spell Hylas?
Hylas.
Any of a genus of tree frogs. Okay.
Okay, the
It's
lost
got to be something else.
Hylas.
Or just type in Hylas. I think he's just a Greek.
Oh, Hylas was a youth who served Hercules and as a companion and servant.
Nice.
His abduction by water nymphs was a theme of ancient art and has been an enduring subject for Western art in the classical
So he's
tradition.
abducted by water nymphs.
Oh, he was posing. Well, yeah, he's a hot
Okay.
boy. He's like a hot boy type.
Okay. What was the end? What happened at the end again?
I think you're supposed to be like, ah ha ha, it was his sister and him
Right.
the whole time. Because he says, I can never thank you and your sister sufficiently. And then the artist is like, it was a fun time. The boy was doing nothing besides posing for the Lost Hylas. I was doing that for a couple of weeks. At any rate, to the grocer, I insist on paying for the hire of the black beard. Which I think you're supposed to be like, okay, he means just the beard itself and not like the guy.
Yeah.
And the artist is the guy, maybe, because it thanks him and his sister. You can assume his sister is the girl in the veil. The model is the boy.
Yeah.
And the scary guy who comes in and is asking about the boy who he.
Because they described the artist at the beginning, didn't they? No, not really. I
Not
guess.
really. I think they just said it was an artist. But that was that was Quail Seed, the mysterious Quail Seed.
Seeds. Yeah, that was good.
That one was cool.
I think Wes Anderson should do that one.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure. I like the idea of This
I like the mysterious boy.
mysterious boy is really
Everybody's
cool.
kind of vibing with.
Just two foreign dudes. This is kind
That's
of
how
very
you
Wes
drive the
Anderson.
market, though.
Yeah, you get
You
people
get weird
like that
foreign guys.
in this store.
They'll
Sweet.
drive the clout. All right.
Sweet.
You gotta read any final.
Final stories.
They're just like it's a good.
The achievement of the cat's only 2 pages.
All right. What's the next one?
It's just I just skipped 2 randomly.
All right.
The achievement of the cat. Do you want to read some of it? Should I stop halfway or something, or it's kind of just
You
one?
can close
It's
it
one
out.
huge
You
paragraph.
can close it out.
In the political history of nations, it is no uncommon experience to find states and peoples which, but a short time since, were in bitter conflict and animosity with each other, settle down comfortably on terms of mutual goodwill and even alliance. The natural history of the social developments of species affords a similar instance in the coming together of 2 once warring elements, now represented by civilized man and the domestic cat.
Nice.
This seems like a good kind of about a man and cat being friends.
Yeah. Someone finally.
The fiercely waged struggle which went on between humans and felines in those far-off days when saber-toothed tiger and cave lion contended with primeval man has long ago been decided in favor of the most fitly equipped combatant. The thing with a thumb.
The boys.
And the descendants, a guy with 2, what has 2 thumbs?
What has 2 thumbs?
Has won the...
Fucking ate a cat for dinner.
What has 2 thumbs and has been decided in favor of the most fitly equipped combat? Okay. And the descendants of the disposed family are... Correct. And the descendants of the disposed family are relegated today, for the most part, to the wastelands of jungle and veld, where an existence of self-effacement...
What's this veld word? I've heard that before.
V-E-L-D.
I've heard that.
Veld.
Oh, I have a geographical names section.
Oh, that seems good for this.
I forgot I had that.
Wastelands
I
of
forgot biographical
jungle.
names. I have biographical names.
That's good, too.
Wow.
That would have been good for maybe
That would have been good for
Hylas.
Hylas is a
Hylas,
biographical
too,
name.
for sure.
Okay. Veld. I feel like Hitler was
V-E-L-D.
doing shit in the Veld.
It's sort of a wasteland of jungles and jungle and veld. I feel like it might be vegetation adjacent.
Right.
I don't know.
But is it like, are there trees in the Veld, or what do you think? Is it mountainous in the Veld?
Maybe it's arid.
Arid?
Maybe arid land.
Arid plains?
Jungles and arid plains. Hard to tell.
I think it's in, I don't think it'll be like the jungle.
Because it already says jungle and veld, so I feel like it'll probably be
Opposite, maybe.
maybe a desert. Maybe.
I think it's green. I'm getting a green vibe. But that's just, verde. Veld. A grassland, especially of southern Africa, usually with scattered shrubs or trees.
Sort of a savanna.
So, yeah. Or it's a grassland, yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of, certain parts of Texas, there's a bit of a Veld situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sort of, probably.
It's kind of north of
Is that east or west? I mean,
west.
Because east has got trees, so it's got to be
Right.
west
Yeah. It's like...
or north even.
It's
Panhandle.
like, Odessa, Midland.
Marfa, I don't know.
No, there's no trees there.
That's desert.
just the desert. You gotta have the part before. With
Anyways,
some scrubs.
but the Felis catus, or whatever species was the ancestor of the modern domestic cat, a vexed question as present by a masterstroke of adaptation avoided the ruin of its race, and captured a place in the very keystone of the conqueror's organization. For not as a bondservant or dependent has this proudest of mammals entered the human fraternity, not as a slave like the beasts of burden.
We're all holding up our glasses to a cat. We're all giving a
This is
toast to a cat.
This is exactly what I've been thinking about recently. In terms
This would
of
be good at a
cats.
cat's funeral.
Yeah, I mean, cats are not slaves like the beasts of burden or a humble camp follower like a dog. The cat is domestic only as far as suits its own ends. It will not be kennelled or harnessed, nor suffer any dictation as to its goings out or comings in.
I will not be harnessed.
Long contact with the human race has developed in it the art of diplomacy, and no Roman cardinal of medieval days knew better how to ingratiate himself with his surroundings than a cat with a saucer of cream on its mental horizon.
Cuddles.
Yes,
They like cuddling.
the art of cuddling, the diplomacy of cuddling with you on your lap at 2 a.m. But the social smoothness, the purring innocence, the softness of the velvet paw may be laid aside at a moment's notice.
The softness of the velvet paw.
The sinuous feline may disappear in deliberate aloofness to a world of roofs and chimney stacks where the human element is distanced and disregarded.
Dang.
This is such a
Saki would've
beautiful
loved cats.
elegy towards cats. Yeah, such a pro-cat vibe. Or the innate savage spirit that helped its survival in the bygone days of tooth and claw may be summoned forth from beneath the sleek exterior and the torture instinct. And the torture instinct, in parentheses, common alone to human and feline, may find free play in the death robes.
The torture instinct.
We know the torture instinct.
We know.
You, me, and a cat. We know the torture instinct.
We know the torture.
A dog would not know what to do.
Dogs are
Dogs
are like, oh, did I hurt it?
Or they'd kill it so fast.
Exactly.
There's nothing about the torture instinct.
They don't get it.
The cat may find free play in the death throes of some luckless bird or a rodent.
Some free play.
It is indeed no small triumph to have combined the untrammeled liberty of primeval savagery with the luxury which only a highly developed civilization can command. To be lapped in the soft stuffs that commerce has gathered from the far ends of the world, to bask in the warmth that labor and industry have dragged from the bowels of the earth, to banquet on the dainties that wealth has bespoken for its table, and withal to be a free son of nature, a mighty hunter, a spiller of lifeblood. This is the victory of the cat. But besides recognition, the animal which the Egyptians worshipped as divine, there it is, where the Romans venerated as a symbol of liberty, which Europeans as... Nope, they're not going to talk about the prophet's cat.
Saki might, dude. Saki might, bro. Saki?
Which Europeans in the ignorant Middle Ages anathematized as an agent of demonology, has displayed to all ages two closely blended characteristics.
All ages.
Courage and self-respect.
Yeah, you gotta do this at a debate.
This is really cool, yeah. Cats are better than dogs. No matter how unfavorable the circumstances, both qualities are always to the fore. Confront a child, a puppy, and a kitten with a sudden danger. The child will turn instinctively for assistance. The puppy will grovel in abject submission to the impending visitation. But the kitten will brace its tiny body for a frantic resistance and disassociate the luxury-loving cat from the atmosphere of social comfort.
We all know the torture instinct.
In which it usually contrives to move.
Stop exploring the torture instinct with the kitten, Saki.
Stop putting them in unfavorable circumstances. Stop posing sudden danger.
Oftentimes, I find my cat in unfavorable circumstances.
Often, I will put a child, a puppy, and a kitten in sudden danger and see how they react. And if you watch how they each react,
J.D.
you learn
Vance
a lot.
In the speech. What the fuck? They're weirdos.
They're putting children, puppies, and kittens in unfavorable circumstances. And and disassociate the luxury-loving cat from the atmosphere of social comfort in which it usually contrives to move, and observe it critically under the adverse conditions of civilization. That civilization which can impel a man to the degradation of clothing himself in tawdry ribald garments and capering mountebank dances in the streets for the earning of the few coins that keep him on the respectable or non-criminal side of society.
Whoa.
The cat of the slums and the alleys, starved, outcast, harried, still keeps amid the prowling of its adversity the bold, free panther tread with which it paced of yore the temple courts of Thebes.
Whoa.
Still displays the self-reliant watchfulness which man has never taught it to lay aside.
Have the Black Panthers read this?
No, but it's really cool for them. This would be exactly what you should do at a Black Panther meeting.
Yeah.
This is such a good excerpt to read about cats.
It's like, whoa. It all dates back to Egypt, bro.
Yeah, it's all
Do you
about...
ever think about Egypt?
Yeah, Thebes. And when it shifts and clever managings have not sufficed to stave off inexorable fate, when it and its enemies have proved too strong or too many for its defensive powers, it dies fighting to the last, quivering with the choking rage of mastered resistance, and voicing in death yell the agony of bitter remonstrance which human animals too have flung at the powers that may be. The last protest against a destiny that might have made them happy and has not.
Is that the end?
In perfect cue with the noise of a cat dying. The cat in the room just...
Dang, read the end again.
Okay. It's mainly about... It sounds like it's like the kind of... It's like you wrote this right after your car ran over a cat or something. It's like... When its shifts and clever managings have not sufficed to stave off inexorable fate, when its enemies have proved too strong or too many for its defensive powers, it dies fighting to the last, quivering with the choking rage of mastered resistance, and voicing in its death yell the agony of bitter remonstrance, which human animals too have flung at the powers that may be. Whoa. The last protest against a destiny that might have made them happy and has not.
Whoa. Whoa.
Really insane way to describe the last words of a cat.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Being like, they're not a bitch.
Yeah,
like
they die like with honor.
They die and they make you feel really bad and are really scary like a human.
It really makes it seem like Saki has seen a cat or two die.
And humans.
Yeah. He knows that of humans and cats only.
But not the dogs he's killed.
But not dogs that die of ease.
Yeah, I kill so many dogs.
They have no mind to their dying.
Not like that at all.
They're too dumb. Cats can feel it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Horses.
Meow 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 meow. That was cool.
Any final thoughts on the cats? Thebes.
No, I just, I love... I relate a lot to that. And my cat that I just recently got. He is kind of courageous and what were his words? He said courageous and self-aware. It's like a humble, or he just used like every possible compliment on the cats. That was cool.
So yeah, that was Saki.
The short stories of Saki.